Wendy Bell Radio is live.
Hey.
Hey, everybody.
What does a gay horsey eat?
Are we starting with that joke? Hey.
So I want to share something with you. And what I should have done is asked Brock to screen it and put it up for us. But I'm too stupid to do that. So we have a wonderful follower, friend named Alan. And Alan goes through great detail to analyze all of the numbers from the leaderboard. So he looks at the top 10 people on the leaderboard, and we're always in the top 10, right? I don't remember
the last time we were below 6.
I don't remember the last time we weren't in the top 10. Even the dumb Sunday show. Let's just be honest.
No, the pet show.
It is what it is. There's different stuff going on then, though. Anyway, so he crunches all these numbers for us, and I want to tell you why it's so important, why what you do is so valuable to us, and why it's probably really annoying that I harp on it. So the top 10 people, yesterday we were number 4, okay? Steven Crowder was number 1. He had 600,000 views. Julie Green was number 2. She had 130,000. And we know was number 3 with 123,000. Then it's us with 64,000. Wasn't a huge knock it out of the park day, view-wise. Then there's Vince, 302,000. So in the top 5, we are 50% at a minimum, view-wise, lower than everybody else. The Rumbles, the like percentage, the number of people who hit Rumble, the thumbs up, compared to all the views, Steven Crowder got 1.26% of his followers to click Rumble, click the like. Julie got 4.15%. And we know 3.99. Here we are with 1/10 of Steven Crowder's views and 1/2 of Julie's and we knows. And we got 6.34% Rumbles. So you're tripling, quadrupling, even quintupling other people who are blasting us out of the water with views. You are blowing them out with your interaction. And that is what Rumble pays attention to.
And that interaction gets us paid.
If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have Chef IQ. If it wasn't for you, CB Distillery wouldn't be here. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have Genucel or the Wellness Company. Are you ready to do one of those, by the way?
Which one you want to do?
How about, I just wanted you guys to realize that is that important. You are that important. And I say it, and I'm sure it sounds like a broken record. Let's try Spike.
Okay.
I'm particularly intrigued in the Ultimate Spike Detox by the Wellness Company. And we've been talking about this for 5 years, the spike protein and this mRNA nonsense. Look, a lot of people got this shot, the COVID jab. You had to, you thought you needed to, you thought you were doing the right thing, and maybe you were, who knows? But there is a definite harm in it, and it is that spike protein. And we now know this new study by Korean doctors, like 8 million people, crazy. It shows that the COVID vaccine, vaccinated people now have seen an explosion in certain kinds of cancers, 6 kinds, including lung, breast, and prostate. So Dr. McCullough with the Wellness Company made a formula to cleanse that out of your system, to repair damage done and to set you back on the right track. And let me tell you, it's called Ultimate Spike Detox, designed to help your body clear the spike proteins, reduce inflammation, and support heart health. With natural ingredients like nattokinase, dandelion root, bromelain, it is your daily proactive defense from a man-made virus and the fix for it. So please use my name. I think you get 10% off. But get this, twc.health/Wendy. And then use my name, and you're going to get 10% off and free shipping. So /Wendy on the toolbar, TWC, the wellness company.health/Wendy, and then put my name to get that 10% off. It's one of those things that I really don't think that we should fiddle with. And of all the frontline doctors, I really trust Dr. McCullough. Really trust him. So I'm also delighted to tell you that Moregainsfitness.com.
Oh, yeah.
If you go to the website, you now can do the Ignite 90 program wherever you live. And this is huge. So Kelly Morgan was so excited to tell us this morning, and that is the big deal. Moregainsfitness.com. She said, good morning. The remote program's ready to drop. Instructions and information are on the website. I'm sure there will be a few kinks to work out, but she says, let's go for it. People can click join now and scroll down to go to the Ignite 90 remote or under services. You'll see it there, and then they can sign up. This is huge. This is her program. You've seen the before and after pictures we shared with you. It's nuts. Now you can get involved. Check it out. Moregains, Morgainz, fitness.com. I love you guys. Thank you for being here.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at you.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we're converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Hello, America, and greetings to all of you across the beautiful fruited plain and beyond. Welcome home to the Wendy Bell radio program. Common sense, conservative values, and common sense is seemingly in less and less supply out there, my friends. We got some interesting polling to go over on today's program. And you know how I feel about polling. I think it's an interesting gauge of certain things, but, you know, they can fudge all data. Why should we trust that the polls aren't all completely jacked, as well as everything else? But we're going to go over it because it is a firm middle finger into the eyeballs of all of these journalists and all of these leftists who are freaking out and trying to tell you every which reason you should just hate Donald Trump. And it's not working. And that is phenomenal. It's a gauge to me that America is awake. WendyBellRadio.com. Please join our family, join our army, join the live video stream. Just keep coming back. Welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. You know, I often can wonder as I look around at the rampant cases of abuse of the generosity of the American people. Because it seems like everybody is taking a swing at it. You know, everybody's trying to steal something from all of us. I wonder how many times do you have to bury your head in the sand to not be aware of what's going on? And I think a lot of people just prefer not to know. I think a lot of people just prefer not to pay attention. I'm going to tell you something that is going to seem weird, and it kind of is. My father, who is a wonderful, wonderful man, who has supported me and my endeavors as long as I've been alive, has never once, to my knowledge, listened to this program. He's never once seen me on the live video stream. He watches me on Newsmax, but he's never heard this program. He doesn't have the app. He doesn't follow along on the podcast. He's not involved on social media, so we would have no idea. And we were away last summer on a family vacation and had a cousin and her husband along with us. And the husband asked my father, why don't you have Wendy's app? Like, why don't you watch the show? And it wasn't anything malicious. It wasn't that he didn't want to support me. It wasn't that he didn't care. He didn't want to know. My father chose not to pay attention to what I do for a living, which is his choice. I will say it has hurt, but I get it. I get it now, finally, at 55. I get it. I think some people just don't want to know. They don't want to hear it all the time. They don't want to be reminded. They know that the system is broken, and they know that individually they probably aren't going to stand much of a chance in fixing it. And so getting back on the hamster wheel and going around and around and around with me every day might be more agitating than he wants. I understand that. And I appreciate that. And if that's like some of you who just kind of flit by periodically, I understand. But see, every day we have an opportunity to reach out to more people and to say, look, I'm not encouraging you to do one thing or another vote-wise. I'm encouraging you to open your eyes. For instance, we've got Jake Tapper on the show today, fact-checking President Trump's claim that in the first 8 months of his presidency, he's been able to negotiate peace, essentially, in 8 varying wars. He's come up with a peace plan and has gotten the photo op, signed the document, handshake, woohoo, right? And Jake goes through and says that a lot of those things are very fragile and not really working quite yet. One of them is the Ukraine-Russia deal that's on the table as being the 9th plan, right? Well, I'm reading a headline this morning that Zelensky's not really sure he wants to sit down and cede any of his land in Ukraine to Russia. And that is the headline I'm getting right now. That's kind of incredible. Zelensky rules out ceding land to Russia and refuses to bow to Putin or to Trump. This is never going to get fixed. Zelensky is not going to be the guy who ends this war, I do not believe. And then what else do we know about this? We know that there's a huge scheme going on as one of his top aides. In fact, multiple people in Zelensky's inner circle in Ukraine are being investigated now in a $100 million kickback scandal that has so many of the same parallels of everything that's going on in Minnesota with the Somalians, with the COVID welfare fraud and all of that. It's all the same deal. And this picture I see of Zelensky saying, I'm not going to do it. Well, who's he with? He's with all of the other imperialists, all of the globalists. Keir Starmer, there's Macron, right? They don't want to get let go. They don't want war to end. They don't want the grift and the gravy train and the extras to stop. And I would imagine that for somebody like my father, who was 84, knowing how much of our money, $30 billion so far that's gone to Ukraine, and Zelensky says he's only received 76 billion. Well, where's the other 50 odd? Where did it go? Well, we said it so quickly, we didn't set up the guardrails to protect it. Oh, is that like COVID? Hurry, hurry, hurry. We need to get this done right away. This is a strategy. It is a Democrat strategy. The strategy has worked forever and a day. Think about COVID. Oh my gosh, we have this virus. It could kill everybody. Quick, stay home. Keep your ears glued to the radio or the TV. We'll tell you when it's safe to come out, and we're going to have something for you to roll up your sleeves and take. But it's for the greater good, and so you'll be happy to do that. Won't you? And then quick, we got to hurry, roll it out quickly, emergency use. And then everybody gets hurt, or we at least are left with questions. What just happened to us? I get people who don't want to hop back on the hamster wheel. I understand people who don't want to pay attention as closely as we pay. But all of these stories go back to one thing, and it's really crappy oversight. That's 2 things. And it's blatant greed. It's unabated, unsatiable greed. It can't be fulfilled. Once you start living a certain way, did you guys hear about some of the people in the Minnesota fraud stuff? The Somalians, people who came from Somalia. right? Without pennies to rub together, came here to America, stole millions of dollars of our money, and are buying land in foreign countries and even their own private jets. I understand if you don't want to get back on the hamster wheel. But see, there's only one way for this to end. There's only one solution, and it's really not in the federal government coming in and cleaning it up. It's exactly what California has to do. How far will you be dragged into the ground, overtaxed? Now garbage isn't being picked up, right? Your water bills are out of control. You have the highest insurance rates in the country. You have the highest mortgage rates in the country. You have the highest gas prices in the country, maybe save Hawaii, right? How much more are you willing to pay to be crapped on every single day by people who steal your money, who promise you the moon, and don't even try to get off the ground? And then when they don't get off the ground and they get called out for it, they point the blame to their favorite scapegoat, Donald Trump. And I think that's maybe why this Harvard-Harris poll today has me so intrigued. Because it's not just one blip of 5 points that Donald Trump's approval has gone up. Yes, that is the story. And we're going to drill in on it in more detail coming up after this next commercial break. But it's beyond that. It's about confidence in the economy. It's about confidence in people's individual financial positions. It's about movement. Are we doing the right thing? Are we moving in the right direction? Do you feel optimistic? All of these markers inching forward. And I would say to all the hamster wheel rejects, people who don't want to get back on, pay attention to what is happening. Because it's been, yes, only 11 months since this president has been in office. But what Joe Biden and his horrendous team of misfit box-checking boobs did to this country over 4 years unabated, with, by the way, Republicans in Congress sitting on their hands, they're just as guilty. For this president to unwind and turn the pendulum the other way in 322 days is nothing short of historic. So, Dad, I know you're not listening, but if you were, today I'd make you proud. When we come back, let's go into this poll, +5 in 1 month. Has that ever happened at any point in Donald Trump's presidency, first or second term? I've got the answer for you next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
I just sent you a text.
Oh.
And
Is it
Ilhan Omar said the same thing. Well, the guardrails weren't put up to prevent
I could
crime.
have read you that just the, and I might at some point in this first hour, is read you the first 3 paragraphs of this story of this $100 million grift in Ukraine. It has all of the same actors, all of the same storylines, same excuses, all under a hurry, we're at war, I need missiles now. Hurry, get it to them right away. Where did the money go? Oh, yeah, we didn't plan on following it. Say what? Right? All right, so what do we want to talk about? Let's hop back into our faves. Let me tell you about Chef IQ. So how many of you got your Chef Man code yesterday to work? I know. Thank you. This is great. Chef IQ. This is this. You know what I mean?
I know 2 were sold yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
Who bought them?
Our friend.
Is that right?
Yeah.
For family members?
Yeah, for Christmas.
So it's just the easiest daggone thing. I'm just going to say this, okay? And right now, what are we offering? Because it's just ridiculous.
30% off.
So here's the best part. This is the gift, obviously, everybody's going to love. And if you go to chefiq.com and you use my name, you're going to get 30% off. So this is it. This is what it looks like. This is the 3-prong. These are meat. It's more than a meat thermometer. I mean, this is smart cooking. You pair this to your phone, which takes 30 seconds. I'm a moron and I got it done. Okay. It took me a little while to do 2 probes doing 2 different things, but I got that done too. That's huge. And then it just goes through the steps 1, 2, 3, 4, bing. And then it tells you, okay, time to flip or time to do this, time to take out, let it rest. Okay, you're ready to go. You're not a slave to your oven, your grill, or ever, whatever, your smoker. ChefIQ.com. It's the wireless cooking thermometer that takes all of the guesswork out of holiday meals, roasts, turkeys, prime ribs, right? Do not guess with your holiday meals. Do not guess ever. I mean, and food is expensive. I don't want to fudge it up, right? And I could screw up anything real fast. ChefIQ.com. Promo code Wendy, 30% off. It's the best, okay? It is just the best.
Did you see the text?
I didn't. Okay, I'm sorry. I got busy. Brock is good at keeping me focused. It says this page doesn't exist. Now it's coming up.
He puts Payne Bondi on blast.
No, it's not coming up. Let's see. It says this page doesn't exist.
All right, I'll send it back.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. I mean, I want you to think about how huge that is. This president who is beaten down every day with what, 95%, 92%, if we're going to be conservative, negative news coverage, who is on the receiving end of outrage and fake liberal nonsense every single day. 5 percentage points higher for this president. So HarvardHarrisPoll.com is where I'm reading. Now, this is on the heels of President Trump calling a reporter Peggy, calling Tim Walz retarded, and, of course, calling Ilhan Omar garbage. Apparently, the majority of people agree with these sentiments and have moved onward because there just happens to be some truth in them. So this is 2,200 people polled. They were polled between last Tuesday and last Thursday. And I want to read you some of the big takeaways. So the national outlook, is America on the right path? Are we moving in the right direction? Or do you feel bleak and overtaxed and unappreciated and starved of your freedom the way you did under Joe Biden? No, we're on the right track. 39% now say we're on the right track, and that is an uptick of 3% in a month. That is a big number, I'm just going to say. Also, 36% of the people say the economy is on the right track. 1 in 3 voters feel their financial situation is improving. That's not how they were feeling last month. Wait a minute, but all we're told is that affordability, that's the story, and it is. And that nobody can afford anything, and that Gen Z is not, they don't like President Trump. 56% drop in his approval by Gen Z. Oh my gosh. And then other polls. It's looking good for Democrats for the midterms. And then this. Yeah, 1 in 3 voters feel that their financial situation is improving, and that's a vast increase in just a month. How about this? Donald Trump's approval rating rises to 47%. 47%. Let's get some granular data on that. 49% still disapprove of what he's doing. Again, this is the Harvard-Harris CABS poll that just came out hours ago. So among Democrats, 16% approve of the job the president is doing. Not surprising. 81% disapprove. The GOP, 87% approve and 12% disapprove. That's a pretty big swing. Independents, 35% approve of him, 57% disapprove. But here you go, men, 52% approve, females, 53% disapprove. And the older you get, the more his approval goes up. Young voters, indeed, 25% approve of what this president is doing. Now, beyond that, I want to hop forward to page number 18 because this is hilarious to me. And this is why we should question all polling. While a plurality still say Trump is underperforming, let's just stop right there. In what world is President Trump underperforming? In the world where he brings in more than $20 of new investment into the United States, in the world where he has America's top auto manufacturers agreeing to close their factories in Mexico and China and come back here to America and build their plants in the heartland? Is that where he's underperforming? Is he underperforming in the realm of gas prices, which are down precipitously? And gas prices, as those go, it's amazing what else drops. How is Donald Trump underperforming? Because he's serious about closing the border and getting rid of people who hate us and want to kill us. He's underperforming because he believes that the money you work hard for should go to you or to other Americans who temporarily need some assistance. Is he underperforming in identifying all of the ridiculous felons, the criminal illegals, all of the gangbangers who were basically sent from foreign prisons to our country to terrorize and destroy our freedom? Is that how he's underperforming? While a plurality still say Trump is underperforming, a slight majority of voters now say Trump is doing better than Biden. See, I like to get my unis in a bunch when President Trump's ratings go up because I believe he's doing the impossible. I believe he's tackling the ultimate beast. I believe he is doing God's work. Because what's happened in this country is most assuredly evil. But when you throw on me in a poll that he's just slightly considered more effective than Joe Biden, who was on vacation 40% of his presidency and who did so much damage, you lose me. Skipping ahead to page 25, let's talk briefly about the Schumer shutdown. Voters are split who to blame, Democrats or Republicans, but 62% say the GOP, quote unquote, won the shutdown. You feel like you won anything? No. I feel that that was an exercise on the hamster wheel. +5 for President Trump, at least today. Tomorrow, I'm sure Harry Anton will tell us, yeah, really, not so much. We're following it. In fact, when we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, I want to talk about this. I want to talk about J.B. Pritzker. It wouldn't be possible for a governor or a mayor to release dangerous like felons, like murderers, rapists, pedophiles back into the community. Would it? I mean, he wouldn't do that. J.B. Pritzker wouldn't do that, would he? Oh, yeah, he would. That's what ICE is saying. I've got the details next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. This is the story that we were both like, what?
See, I say the GOP, for lack of better words, won the. I think Trump won the shutdown because without the shutdown, we don't hear about Minnesota.
100%. If you don't have one weird thing happen, you don't get all the other details.
Yeah, we don't know about the snap
no
fraud. So, like, to me, that's the win.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
That win means we all lost overall, but.
This Harvard-Harris poll, though, like, let's see to this page. Most voters say Dems shut down the government to please their base. Do you think Democrats behind the shutdown were just trying to please their base, or did they have good reasons to shut the government down? 57% said they did it to please the base. 43% said because they had good reasons. We don't know what those reasons are because they never told us, except unless you believe, of course, that the Affordable Care Act and extending the benefits for millions of illegals was valid work, right? Very interesting. How about this? A group of moderate Senate Democrats broke rank and made a deal to reopen the government through late January without a guaranteed immediate extension of the Affordable Care Act subsidies, but with a promise of a clean vote on the health care extensions. Do you approve or disapprove of the compromise that ended the shutdown? What do you think the number was, Brock? I wasn't expecting this.
From Democrats?
From everybody. Well, yeah, I could tell you. 68%
Wow.
total. 68% said approve.
I would not have guessed
So
that high.
2 out of 3 approved of it, including 59% of Democrats, 80% of Republicans, and 63% of independents. So they gambled, they lost, and
AFA.
that is my gauge that the awakening. I mean, take the 5 points away, like whatever, he'll be fine. He's not running for re-election, right? But he is going to run like he is for 26. Ireland Contracting, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. Roofing, siding, soffit, fascia, gutters, downspouts, skylights, windows, all of it. Home electricity stuff on the outside. You want to put in a spa, you want to put in I don't know. You want to put in something, a ceiling fan, new lights outside. Ireland Contracting. Sorry, it's only for Western Pennsylvania, but living in Pittsburgh's got to give you some reason to be okay. And that's Ireland Contracting. 1-800-NEW-ROOF. Don't ask for Dan. I'm teasing. Yes, you can. All right.
I sent you I resent that open.
Yes. Let's see.
I would say right now in his administration, he's calling out Pam Bondi is what she's reading. She's the only one not performing. You see Kash Patel, you see Tom Homan, you see Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth.
So I'll read this to you when we come back.
Even the guy, I can never remember, Sean Duffy.
Oh, he's been outstanding.
Lee Zeldin. These guys are all just knocking it out of the park.
You walk around the table of their cabinet
You
meetings.
want to hear what they have to say.
Right
Brooke
on.
Rollins.
Right on. I've never wanted to hear Howard Lutnick so much in my life. I'm like, what's he going to say now? And Scott Bessent, when Scott Bessent becomes must-see TV, you're like...
He's like C-SPAN.
Right. He's so... You have to like listen and pay attention to what he's saying because you're like, I know you're a lot smarter than I am, and I know I'm probably going to get lost in the weeds here, but...
It takes a while to get where he's going.
He sticks the landing. He does it. Healthy Cell, you guys. Brock and I were just talking about this.
Yeah.
We were just talking about supplements and how many of them come in pill form.
Yeah.
Right? And I had no idea that the stomach acid that we all have changes sort of like our energy, changes like all sorts of other processes in our bodies. And so our gut has a harder time breaking down pills, capsules, right? And before you can actually digest them and have them get into your bloodstream, you poop them out. So this instead, Healthy Cell, is a microgel formula. So you basically take all of your supplements by squeezing them into your mouth like you're doing an applesauce or a Go-Gurt. It's revolutionary. I mean, just in the mode of how it gets to you. And it's 165% more absorbable. Like, if I'm going to take a supplement, I want to actually get the benefit, right? So why not? healthycell.com/Wendy. You've seen the boxes. This is the one that I think is very interesting right now, the Immune Super Boost. It's that little bubble of protection during cold and flu season. All delicious formulas. all easy to swallow. healthycell.com/Wendy. I love them. This just in, breaking news. How about this truth from Trump? I guess it was yesterday. I didn't see it. It's breaking to me. And this is what Donald Trump puts out on Truth Social, the president of the United States. Pam, colon. Oh my gosh. He's writing a truth to the Attorney General of the United States. He says, Pam, I have reviewed over 30 statements and posts saying that essentially same old story as last time. All talk, no action. Nothing is being done. What about Comey, Adam, Shifty Schiff, Letitia? They're all guilty as hell, but nothing is going to be done. And then we almost put a Democrat-supported U.S. attorney in Virginia with a really bad Republican past, a woke rhino who was never going to do his job. That's why two of the worst Dem senators pushed him so hard. He even lied to the media, said he quit, that he had no case. No, I fired him. There's a great case there. Lindsay Halligan is a really good lawyer and likes you a lot. We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now. Now with 3 exclamation points. President DJT. Oof. Wow. So who would be there? Who would take that spot? Janine Pirro? Some people are saying Matt Gaetz, Andrew Bailey. I like Eric Schmidt, to be perfectly honest with you. I think Eric Schmidt is a star, Missouri senator, right? So anyway, that is percolating on the back burner today. Trump calling out Pam Bondi. Get off your arse. Let's make some magic. Make it and to be honest with you, everybody else in his cabinet is killing it. You're seeing Kelly Loeffler. If I asked you, who was the small business administrator of Joe Biden's administration? You'd be like, what? Who was the Secretary of Energy? You might remember Granholm. Who was the Secretary of Education? Who was all of that? You wouldn't remember. All of these people in Trump's inner circle are really impressive, especially if you listen to those roundtable discussions at the cabinet meetings. All right, so as we're monitoring that today, I want you to hear what got Brock's and my attention. This was yesterday. This is in the afternoon. And it's a Fox News alert. Like everything is a Fox News alert, right? This, I was like, okay, that's a real Fox News alert. It's only like 20 odd seconds. And it's about Governor J.B. Pritzker of Illinois. So try this on for size. Ready?
New report now on sanctuary policies in the state of Illinois. Immigration and Customs Enforcement saying that Governor Pritzker has overseen the release of more than 1,700 dangerous criminal illegal aliens since the 20th of January, including murderers, pedophiles, and kidnappers, sending them back into neighborhoods and putting American lives at risk. It is turnstile justice.
What? 1,768 criminal aliens with active detainers, meaning ICE has reason to bounce them. They have reason to be held because they are criminals. And J.B. Pritzker bounces them from prison so they can get back onto the street and avoid what? Deportation? What? Here's your story, foxnews.com. ICE warns Illinois is releasing violent criminal illegal aliens despite detainers risking public safety. Like, how many lives lost is too many? How many? What is that number? How many children kidnapped and sexually abused? How many is enough, is too much? U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement warning that Illinois officials are releasing violent criminal illegal aliens despite active immigration detainers, a move the agency says is putting the public at risk. In a letter shared with Fox News, Todd Lyons, who's ICE senior official performing the duties of director, said Illinois has, quote, tens of thousands of criminal illegal aliens in custody, individuals who, he noted, have committed crimes ranging from murder and rape to child pornography, pedophilia, and armed robbery. Lyon says these offenders should be swiftly removed from the United States and not be returned to our streets to wreak havoc on law-abiding citizens. When is enough enough? What happened to you, J.B. Pritzker? I failed to believe, the same way I failed to believe that Joe Biden, based on his 30, 40 years as a senator and the things that he has said about illegal immigration and about open borders, and he has said about crime, specifically as it related to his individual family. I find it very hard to believe that he is rubber stamped the invasion of this country. I am no Joe Biden fan, but that wasn't in his wheelhouse. I bet you he has no earthly idea, none, because much like the American public, you are a product of the news you're exposed to. And if his keepers, i.e. Jill, i.e. Hunter, kept him away from the news, he would have no clue. So Illinois now has thousands of people who we know are murderers, rapists, pedophiles, kidnappers, human traffickers, roaming around the streets because they're playing games with sending them back to their homeland. Is a Democrat vote in an illegal alien gangbanging thug, is that worth it? To keep them here? And if the answer is yes, oh my. Then we want to talk about this. I could read to you some of the granular detail on these men, where they came from, what they're accused of, what they've done. But I don't want to make you revolted so early on in the broadcast. Did you hear about Zoran Mamdani, the Democrat socialist mayor, which means communist, who offers a video now with tips on how illegal aliens in New York City can avoid ICE capture, which is it's truly beyond, but it's really not, because you knew damn well what you were getting. And that's why I said young, white, college-educated liberal chicks are the scourge of our society, because they overwhelmingly fawn over someone like Zoran Mamdani, because either they're too stupid to think for themselves, or they've been successfully groomed through multiple phases of education. Here's Zoran Mamdani telling illegals how to avoid ICE capture. It's a friendly little public service announcement I think is super helpful.
Last weekend, ICE attempted to raid Canal Street and detain our immigrant neighbors. As mayor, I'll protect the rights of every single New Yorker, and that includes the more than 3 million immigrants who call this city their home. But we can all stand up to ICE if you know your rights. If you encounter ICE, these are the things that every New Yorker should know. First, ICE cannot enter into private spaces like your home, school, or a private area of your workplace without a judicial warrant signed by a judge. That looks like this. If ICE does not have a judicial warrant signed by a judge, you have the right to say, "I do not consent to entry," and the right to keep your door closed. Sometimes ICE will show you paperwork that looks like this and tell you that they have the right to arrest you. That is false. ICE is legally allowed to lie to you, but you have the right to remain silent. If you're being detained, you may always ask, "Am I free to go?" repeatedly until they answer you. You are legally allowed to film ICE as long as you do not interfere with an arrest. It is important to remain calm during any interaction with ICE or law enforcement. Do not impede their investigation, resist arrest, or run. One last thing. New Yorkers have a constitutional right to protest, and when I'm mayor, we will protect that right. New York will always welcome immigrants. And I will fight each and every day to protect, support, and celebrate our immigrant brothers and sisters.
Well, now that is a super informative video there. I wonder if he would support if perhaps, let's see. Here we go. If Amilcar Valdo Gonzalez Jimenez, an illegal alien from Mexico, who was arrested and convicted for 1 count of driving under the influence and domestic battery and 2 counts of criminal sexual assault, if he'd like Mr. Jimenez to relocate from JB Pritzker's Illinois to New York, because we could arrange that. Or maybe Juan Alberto Caro Marin, an illegal alien from Mexico convicted of aggravated criminal sexual abuse of a family member and sentenced to 6 years in Illinois Department of Corrections. Yes. Maybe we'd like to have Mr. Marin transferred to New York so they can get a little flavor of who we're talking about, Mr. Mayor. See, there is no delineation for many of us. Illegal is illegal. Illegal with the fondest of intentions, with the rosiest of hearts, still leaves you with illegal. And we are a nation of laws, sir. So I wish you Godspeed, as apparently isn't part of his security or his police force a rapper who was convicted of something and spent 6 years in prison.
I believe it's his transition team guy.
His transition team guy who transitioned out of prison and into, okay, I want you to hear Kristi Noem because this is interesting. She was a little ticked off, Department of Homeland Security, a little ticked off about the mayor of New York encouraging basically with a tutorial how illegals should avoid ICE. Here's Kristi Noem.
Mayor, if he were mayor, could be violating the Constitution by giving advice on how to evade law enforcement and how to get away with breaking the law. It's really unbelievable in this country what we're seeing. Those ICE agents that you were referencing, the violent attacks that have increased against them to 1,200%, death threats against them are at 8,000%. And I want to remind everybody, these ICE agents live in these communities. That's their homes. They have their families there. They're working to keep their own kids safe so that they can go to school, they can go to church and go to work every single day. So they're there doing God's work to protect this country and enforce the law. And these politicians, if they don't like the law, then go frickin' change it. Go change the law. That's your job, is to actually have debate, have discernment, to create a law that actually puts America first. I'm just grateful the president is focused on that.
100%. Well, America first, you might want to have that conversation with an individual school district in Vermont. You know, it's always a big deal at the elementary school to take up the American flag every day and take it down. Except yesterday they put up a different flag next to our flag. Oh, I bet you can't guess which country. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I'm telling you, the diagnosis, though, this overarching insecurity / guilt, and the way the liberal woman in particular, but it's a lot of wussy willow men too, the way they, I don't know, find their own value or justify their own morality is to sanctimoniously act like, go out of their way for minorities, which is crazy. It's mental. It's a mental diagnosis. Something is ripe in certain people, and they get triggered by things, and then others are like, yeah, I don't have that gene. I don't know what it is. I don't understand it. But the similarities among people, like the suburban wine drinking soccer mom, liberal moms who decide to stage a sit-in. Oh, you're so brave. I'm going to get arrested for illegals. Okay, good. When one of them rapes your daughter and there's a gang rape of her and then she's murdered and her lifeless body is thrown into a ditch, are you going to go protest still? Because I'm going to go with no. You ignorant moron. Gosh, I'm so glad I take this. Blood Flow 7. All right, so I got a message yesterday from a frequent flyer, and it tickled me. It was actually really sweet. And he's like, I'm taking something else right now. I was gonna wait until I used it. Blah blah blah. Where'd he go? You know me. Here we go. Let's see. So he says, "Dear Wendy," this is from Steve. "I was tied up all morning this morning. Didn't get a chance to start watching your show until afternoon. This is like the fourth or the fifth time I haven't heard you talking about Alpha Gold that I've heard you talking about Alpha Gold that Juvenon sells, and I'm very interested in that. I'm currently taking a testosterone supplement, and I had originally thought that I would wait until that supply ran out before I tried the Alpha Gold male from Juvenon. Me being the patient person I am, sarcasm, I'll probably stop taking what I have and order the Alpha Gold right away." He's like, "The way I look at it anymore is, hey, she hasn't steered you wrong yet, so why wait?" Isn't that great? I'll let you know what I make out of it. And by the way, blah, blah, blah. I would be very interested in hearing how Brock is doing with it.
I love it.
So Alpha Gold Male is like it's like what I take, Blood Flow 7. Right now, if you go to bloodflow7.com/Wendy, you're going to land on a page that shows you the 2-for-1. Well, the bundle, I think is what they call it. And the Alpha Gold, obviously, for the men, and then Blood Flow for anybody else. I think it's phenomenal. Let me tell you quickly about that Alpha for the men, because I just think it's wonderful. Why do you say you like it, Brock?
I have the same effects that I do with Blood Flow, to be honest. That I can tell that. I mean, how do you know if your T is high or
Core benefits, Blood Flow, the Alpha Gold Male, healthy testosterone levels, balances hormones for vitality, boosts sexual drive and confidence, enhances strength, stamina, and endurance, promotes better sleep and recovery, and prostate and urinary health. Healthy, yeah, it's healthy for you. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. Get it. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. You know, it's interesting when we try to figure out, where does indoctrination first begin? Is the seed planted at home? I think most of us would probably think that, right? Wherever you are spending the most amount of time, wherever you get the most instruction, probably home. Maybe seconded by school. And this story kind of proves it. All right. So this is it's called 7 Days VT. So 7 Days Vermont. Vermont's independentvoice.com. Winooski schools inundated with angry calls and threats for flying the Somali flag. I mean, way to not feel the pressure in the room, right? Way to not take the temperature of the room here. After a video of the flag raising was posted by popular right-wing social media accounts, such as Libs of TikTok, along with the district's telephone number, the phone started ringing. Literally, it's the American flag, and next to it, "Oh, hi, Somalia." The same Somalia where we understand, $8 billion has been stolen that we know of so far of COVID era funds. Through all of this fraud, the Winooski School District in Vermont inundated with angry calls and threats on Monday after conservative and social media accounts reposted a video of students and staff hoisting a Somali flag outside its pre-kindergarten through 12 school building. Really? Libs of TikTok ran the video on its X account along with the school district's phone number. Other popular accounts did as well. Benny Johnson, a right-wing podcaster who's reportedly in close terms with the Trump administration, posted a video with the comment, "I've got a suggestion for ICE's next stop. The posts have received hundreds of thousands of views, thousands of comments, most of which excoriate the school district for raising a foreign flag, and some which falsely state the Somali flag replaced the U.S. flag. Well, you got to ask yourself, why would somebody at that school district think that was a reasonable decision? Are you not learning of the fraud and the schemes and the abuse just in Minnesota? The answer to that might be they're not. How is that possible? Well, later on in the broadcast, I've got a fun little story from our friends over at the Media Research Center, who decided to go over the last week's worth of news, ABC, CBS, and NBC, to see how many minutes the big three networks spent talking about the Somalian fraud, the Somalian theft of billions of American taxpayer dollars. And the number is infinitesimal. In fact, Jake Tapper over CNN spent more time fact-checking President Trump's claims that in 8 months he solved 8 foreign wars than CNN spent at all talking about Somalians, specifically from the country that this Vermont school in the Winooski School District decided to hoist a flag of. Makes no sense. The video taken on Friday shows Winooski students and staff gathered outside the school to celebrate the raising of the baby blue flag of Somalia on a flagpole that flanked one with the American flag. It was meant to fly for a week as the first of several concrete steps that the district, which educates students from all over the globe, many of whom are refugees, plan to reassure its Somali students that they are valued and supported. Well, I don't know about that. How many of them are on welfare? How many of them are we paying for? How many of them are getting free access to all sorts of things that you and I are paying for, right? And I'm sure the other students are just doing what they're told. Yay. We love you here. The flag raising was a direct response to statements made by President Donald Trump last week, in which he called Somali immigrants garbage and said he did not want them in the U.S. This week, the district also plans a celebration with Somali food and a civil rights workshop. According to Superintendent Wilmer Chavaria, who's an immigrant from Nicaragua. Excellent. Maybe at this Celebrate Somalia school gathering, right? They'll have voter registration forms so everybody can make sure they fill those out with ample time in advance of the midterms. But wait, they're not voting in our elections. Stop it. There is not one. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. For every action, there is a reaction. And in Vermont, it's to tell the Somalians, who hopefully aren't robbing their city blind, all are welcome here. Right. All right, when we come back, this hour went fast. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program is on tap. So this Minnesota stuff, let's just dig into that a little bit more, because it's not just feeding our future. It's not just autism centers. It's called housing stabilization. How did they steal billions from that? Oh, buckle up. That's next.
You know who's not happy about the Somali food day?
Huh?
The janitor.
Why is that?
Because I can't imagine those kids eat much Somalian food, and they're probably...
I'm sure it's delicious.
Yeah.
Actually, I have had Somalian food. There's a restaurant. Isn't that I think they serve it on that really spongy bread, and you eat it with your hands. Did you see people in New York eating with their hands in solidarity of the Somalis? So unfairly punished.
You know what's the disturbing part? How many of those people probably didn't wash their hands?
Oh, ew, stop. Blah, 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 blah. Anywho, let's see.
I agree with Mr. Black Dog. Go to Africa for a good meal, said no one ever.
That's funny. Yeah, I know, right? I mean, look, the fact of the matter is they'd like you to believe that you're somehow racist or discriminatory or mean-spirited or, we are the kindest, most generous people. And any attempt to paint you otherwise for telling the truth is ludicrous, and it's obvious, and it's very tiresome. Stop it. I have no worries about anybody calling me racist. Like, whatever. I'm already an international racist. Who cares? Yeah, that's what they've done to that. Dr. Richard Rafferty wants to hear from you. He wants to hear from you. He wants to be able to help you. And he'd like you to be, his 20,000th patient who's come through his program to grow back discs in your back and your neck that have fallen apart. And it's amazing. It's like your liver. You can give and be a part of a liver transplant without giving a whole lot of your liver. It grows back, which is phenomenal, right? Like a salamander or something like that. It's wild. Your discs are the same way. They can actually grow back. And that is what Dr. Rafferty does. He provides a non-surgical alternative to having somebody slice into your spine. Blech. No thanks. I would well rather go through a much less expensive 8 to 10 week therapy with Dr. Rafferty. Just think about that. By Valentine's Day, you could be pain-free. You'd get through the program and you'd be pain-free. They don't cut in you. They don't take your blood. There's no needles. 412-906-9600. Sounds pretty good to me. PittsburghDiscInstitute.com. These people have been sponsors of this program for like 5 years.
Yep.
And that's just...
It's the first radio station.
It's truly remarkable. Truly remarkable. And we are blessed. So, 412-906-9600.
Amanda says you're her favorite racist.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And the nice thing is you can say, an international.
That's true. It's not everybody who's able to say that.
Not everybody can get that moniker.
It takes a while, but if you work hard enough at it,
right? Yeah.
Or you have a big enough reach, by golly, they can explode anything by taking out an 18-second soundbite. That's true, or whatever. Whatever. It's funny.
That was a different time.
Yes, it was a different. I'm meshing them all together.
It
It's
was
all
like
such
13.
a blur. Was it?
Yeah.
Where I was allegedly saying that they should shoot. And
Yeah, I
kill
don't even know if it was
protesters.
13. I think it
Like 8 or 12.
Yeah.
Or something. Yeah. She's telling people.
all
to
I
get
know is
shot.
they tried to get me to edit it. And I was like, negative, Ghost Rider.
Edit it down so it sounded like that's what I said.
Mhm. They said to edit it from here to here. I'm like, nope.
Wow. Sounds so dirty.
You can take anything out of context, and that's the problem with a lot of these shows. They take things out of context.
Well, you were saying
You see
that
hard
Nick
cuts.
Fuentes was on Piers Morgan.
Yes, you were telling me how some of your sons have heard some of what he
Mhm.
has said. So, just out of curiosity, I'm around your sons.
I'm going to
quite a
start
bit.
listening more to Nick
The-
Fuentes.
I-
I
I
just want to
just
hear what he
wanted to-
says. I want to know what the controversy is.
Right. And Pierce Morgan the way they edited it is just like, that's, and he'd be like, well,
That's
did
not
you
what I
listen to
said.
the rest of the
Yeah.
monologue? And they're like, no. He's like, that was a joke. Did you take out me laughing? And
Yeah. Yes,
and
we did.
Pierce Morgan's like, well, this is what was said. You said it. Well, that's how you say something. And even in the chat, a lot of times people try to be funny and it goes over like a ton of bricks because you can't understand sarcasm necessarily through words
No, it's
and
that
what people were thinking.
you
So
lose
it's,
everything, all of the
Yeah.
inflection, the facial reaction, all of that stuff, right?
so when you edit these sound bites, and a lot of times you can tell because they're hard edits where
Yeah.
you'll start to get the next word.
Mhm.
So like when you listen to things, and this just comes from 25 years of doing it, listen to how the cut is at the end, because you want to know what they're going to say next, because they'll cut out the they'll cut out well, here's what I meant, and it's just, Yeah.
Well, the holidays are hectic. Family drama, last minute shopping. It is stressful. I will say it's stressful. Until you get to a point, it's stressful getting there, right? And if you need help with the stress or with relaxation or with muscle pain and aches, particularly after being on your feet or exercising or sleeping, this is where CB Distillery comes into such play. And I love that you have a gummy for almost every single issue, right? So CBD for better sleep, for pain relief in a stick for post-workout pain, also holiday calm for yourself and sleep. 2 million customers, a 100% money back guarantee. And right now, 25% off is the promo code this week for them, cbdistillery.com. Promo code Rumble. Every CB Distillery product is made with premium quality, clean ingredients, no fillers, nothing artificial. This is the company I stand by. I believe their work. I know who they are, and I know how they feel about you. 25% off. Investigate. cbdistillery.com. Promo code Rumble. They're awesome. And their gummies are like, thank you, God. Right? Without taking pills.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family. She once hosted a 3-hour show in just 15 minutes. She once intimidated the Electoral College to audit itself. Her monologues are so sharp, they're considered a concealed carry weapon. Fact-checker sites routinely issue her a retraction a week in advance. Even her commercial breaks trend on social media. Her freedom of speech has diplomatic immunity. She doesn't just drain the swamp has to ask for cab fare. Wendy Bell is the most interesting conservative woman on radio. Keep rumbling, my friends. 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell Radio program is live. And hey, wendybellradio.com is where you go to watch the entire 3 hours. Don't just watch a little bit. Get our app, get it onto your phone. And by the way, the podcast, over 6 million podcast downloads and growing. Thank you so much. Delighted you're part of this. So, you know what's interesting when you have a crisis? And was it Rahm Emanuel who said that? Never let a crisis go to waste, right? You've got to be able to do something off of the crisis. Crises that are manufactured are meant to screw us over more than ever. Think about it. What do you get when you open up the border and you invite 20 million people from all around the world, from like 94 other countries? What do you get besides major cultural issues? You've got a lot of problems. You've got to find housing for all of those people. No wonder people can't find reasonable prices. No wonder you can't find a place to live anymore. Where are all these immigrants going? Why are we paying for it? Because we have been. What else do you need? You have to be able to feed them. These people aren't getting SNAP benefits, really, about that. Thanks to the Schumer shutdown, we got an idea of how much they're actually getting. What else do you have to do? Well, you have to educate them. And so all of a sudden, you have thousands and thousands of new people who don't speak English flooding our schools, which are already failing the students by grooming them more than actually teaching them. And so what do we have? We have plummeting and embarrassing aptitude testing in schools. Well, what else do you have to do? You got to get them health care, medical care, right? Well, we're not doing that. Well, why did Chuck Schumer want $200 billion for health care for illegal aliens? Right? Now, see, if all this hadn't happened, if they didn't steal an election, and look, I know you guys are going to say that's unpopular. Don't say that. There's no proof it was stolen. You know what? Fine. We'll live in your fantasy, and I'll say, after 81 million people were so passionate about Joe Biden because he had campaigned so hard and he had stuck so many important interviews. And man, he was out there pressing the flesh during COVID. That guy was on fire. We were like, wow, Joe Biden. Oh, that's right. That never happened, but 81 million people voted for him anyway. Got it, right? If that hadn't happened, we wouldn't know about any of this. If it wasn't for the Schumer shutdown, we wouldn't know just how abused the SNAP benefit program is. We wouldn't know that there are 42 million people who need food welfare. We wouldn't know that a huge chunk of them are immigrants and that a huge chunk of them are illegal, right? So all of these various ways that we have to now accommodate 20 million people who ought not be here are all their own little microcosm solar systems of fraud, right? Hurry, hurry, hurry. We've got to get housing. Here's what we're going to, hey, Earl, get in here. All right, here's what we're going to do, right? We're going to create a new program really fast. It's an emergency. I mean, we got people, they're sleeping on the streets. They're in the sheriff's precinct. We've got to fix this problem now. It's called housing stabilization. It's only going to cost a couple $1 million. We'll get it started. There'll be some bumps, but we'll get it started, get people housed. It'll be great. $100 million later, nobody's been housed. Wait, what? Wait a minute, we got to feed all these people. It's super important. Hurry. I'm going to sign up my nonprofit to help out. I'm going to serve 6,000 meals a day. Does it sound unbelievable? So what? I'm going to do it anyway. Oh, $7 million of fraud and a private jet later. So we are all on the same page. Yes? You need the emergency to create the grift. Opening up the floodgates creates the emergency. And now you're like, oh my goodness, what now do we have to do that they can mooch off of and sponge from? I want you to hear this Fox report on how fraudsters in Minnesota built Medicaid. Out of $100 million for this so-called housing stabilization program, and how now other entitlement programs are totally being paused. There is no way that there's that much need for that many people to go out and seem to get licensed to be a provider of care that, of course, they never provide.
Several of the whistleblowers in Minnesota have told state lawmakers that by the time these investigations are through, they believe the actual size of this fraud, the amount of taxpayer dollars that has been stolen, could be higher than $8 billion. We are already seeing some of that. 2 days into the Small Business Administration's investigation, Secretary Kelly Loeffler says the agency has uncovered at least $1 million in PPP fraud. And the state itself is now looking into the possibility of fraud in another Medicaid program. Minnesota's Department of Human Services is now pausing the issuing of new licenses for disability service providers over concerns of fraud after an explosion in the number of applications for new licenses over the past 5 years, going up 283%, while the number of people needing those services only increased by 25%. Governor Tim Walz, who is up for re-election, is under fire for all of this happening under his watch, but he says they have investigated every claim of fraud that's come in, something whistleblowers dispute, and says the state is taking the steps it needs to keep it from happening again.
So forget that it's happened. Now we're paying attention. Now we see it. Don't you worry. We've got our best people. I was on it like white on rice. I was all over that. I know we probably should have done a better job, but, bygones, bygones. It is what it is. Moving forward, though, I think we're pretty good. Is that enough for you guys? Because it's not for me. Was there nobody in Minnesota who was like, we have 80,000 Somalians all of a sudden in Minneapolis. They have 20,000 children and 90% of them are apparently autistic. That's kind of curious. Did anybody step back and say, why do we have hundreds of autism clinics in this one city? No. I wonder why. Well, now let's talk about housing fraud. Here's a news report on what started as a program in 2020 with a small budget that is now ballooned to tens of millions.
Top story this hour. Federal raids over the last few months have now led to the first charges in what prosecutors call a massive fraud scheme, with echoes of the Feeding Our Future scheme. 8 men are accused of scamming Minnesota's housing stabilization services to the tune of at least $10 million, and investigators say that's just the tip of the iceberg. Fox 9's Corin Hogger shows us how the problem got so big.
Minnesota was the first state to launch Medicaid's Housing Stabilization Services program back in 2020. It was supposed to cost between $2 and $3 million a year, but it grew incredibly and suspiciously fast. When seniors and people with disabilities or mental illness needed housing help in Minnesota, they were supposed to be able to get it through Medicaid. In 4.5 years, the helpers billed the state for $302 million in services to almost 82,000 people. But prosecutors say they were mainly helping themselves.
Most of these individuals did not receive the stable housing they so desperately needed. The money was just simply stolen.
$10 million of it was allegedly stolen by just the 8 men now charged with fraud through companies known as Brilliant Minds, Foundation First, and Falad Care.
Many of these companies operated out of dilapidated storefronts or rundown office buildings that were full of other fraudulent healthcare companies, such as the Griggs Midway building.
It's so shocking. All these fronts providing stuff, homeless or home stabilization, because once you have a panic and you need housing, you create the grift and then everybody siphons off of it. Tim Walz wants you to believe, no, we're on it. There's not one thing that we haven't investigated. I'm on all over this stuff, right? Well, actually, he's not, because as the story continues to tell us, it's the federal crackdown, not the state and local authorities who are doing much of anything, apparently. Listen.
Minnesota has now cut off funding to the program and helped prosecutors put together criminal cases. But acting U.S. Attorney Joe Thompson says the feds are generating most of the investigations on their own, and a lot of the financial threads tie back to Feeding Our Future. He says benefit programs were new, experimental, and vulnerable to being overwhelmed by fraudsters.
The programs aren't designed to have hundreds or even thousands of bad actors all commit fraud, to try to defraud them.
5 of the defendants appeared in federal court here today to plead not guilty to all the charges. One of them, Mustafa Daib Ali, gave me a statement today saying he's eager to see all the evidence and to prove his innocence. All 8 of them will eventually be released on bond, and they will have conditions, including that they cannot communicate with any of the other DSS program participants.
This is the point where your liberal judge comes in and overturns the jury's verdict that finds one of these goofballs guilty for stealing $7 million. And the judge, a white college-educated liberal chick, says, you know what? Yeah, about that. I don't like that judgment. I'm going to overrule that. You're free to go, sir. Happy thieving. Can't make it up. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, now for the biggest slap in Minnesotans' faces. Tim Walz gave a Somalian woman a couple years back the Outstanding Refugee Award. What an amazing woman. And the award goes to a woman who just got caught stealing $7 million from Minnesota. Oh my gosh. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I hate everyone.
That's what she grossed. What did she net? Because Tim probably got a kickback.
My boyfriend, Rob Finnerty, went fire last night. He was like, oh, yeah? Ilhan? See, the way he holds his mouth, too, it tells you so much because it looks like he wants to reach through the lens and slap somebody. His lips are a little pursed as he's telling you, and he's like, oh, yeah, she had $65,000 when she started in Congress. Now, $30 million. Oh. And I'm like, oh, go, brother. All right, the Simkovich Concussion Institute. Dr. Charles Simkovich, we are so grateful to you and all of those wonderful people at your office. Thank you for the work you do and have done to help our daughter. After 9 years of searching for answers, we found you. You will forever hold a special place in our hearts. That's from Holly. Another amazing story. Dr. Charles Simkovich will always mean so much to my family. He's helped Grant with headaches, then helped my sister after an awful car accident. He is an angel from heaven. This was the absolute best decision I've ever made to help with my concussion and subsequent headaches. I wholeheartedly recommend Dr. Charles Simkovich. And finally, it's amazing to me how concussions can cause so many other problems. It led me to all kinds of neurological disorders, even personality changes, not to mention memory loss. If you know somebody who has been concussed and is suffering from these things, you need to see Dr. Charles Simkovich. He's on Facebook. No, you don't have to even go on Facebook. Just go to SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. 412-366-3700. He uses his hands. Not a scalpel. There's no surgery. There's no cutting. There's no blood. He's not going to hurt you. He's going to fix you. It's fascinating. I can't wait for our friend to go through it because I can't wait for her to tell me what happened. All right, so he put on his gloves and then he put his hands in your mouth. What did he do? Because he can feel things that are out of whack after you suffer a traumatic brain injury. And he fixes them. It's crazy, but it works.
I only judge him because he can't fix liberalism.
It's freezing in here now.
It is.
Oh. Woof. I feel weird. I don't have my mom's ring. I finally took it to get the nail polish my mom had put on this opal for years. Somebody told her it keeps the stone safe and strong. And I'm like, so you put clear nail polish on top of it? Probably every month for 20 years. And I was like trying to get, so I finally took it to the jeweler and he's got some guy who's going to be able to get it off. But it's like naked. I feel naked.
Oh boy.
I know, right? That's a visual.
It might get the viewers up.
That's a visual. Let's get to 3. Come on, 277 at the very least. We got 110 people to go. I was just singing your praises about your fabulosity. But now's when you have to click. Oh. You have to click it or tick it. Click the thumbs up bubble underneath the video box and then hit follow. Where are we with the followers?
A lot.
Radio program. I remember when Joe Biden gave Hillary Clinton her Presidential Medal of Freedom Award. And I watched. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. This is such an insult. The woman who put the country's national security at risk so that she and Bill and their Clinton Global Initiative of suck could basically rake in the money, believing, of course, that she was going to be president of the United States. Not so fast there, sweetness, right? And so what does Biden do? He gives her some medal. When you give Hillary Clinton a medal like that, it diminishes the medal for every other wearer. I would look at mine. It's how I felt when what's-his-face, Andrew Cuomo, as governor of New York, got a flippin' Emmy Award. I'm like, he got an Emmy Award for his live press conferences during COVID. For what? What's your benchmark? How embarrassing, right? It's like when Joe Biden gave Shay Moss and Ruby Freeman presidential awards for all of their fine help during the election of 2020. Oh, what did they do? Zzzzt. Remember the video? All of the boxes, the cases of ballots that they fed through the machines all night. That didn't happen, Wendy. Yeah, it did. Fulton County, Georgia. Not supposed to talk about it. Makes you a big liar. But we all know the truth. And now there's this Minnesota woman who Tim Walz gave the super duper awesome refugee of the year award, because that's a thing. Okay, that's beyond whatever. But I want you to hear about this. This woman is exposed by a state representative in Minnesota named Nolan West. And he's like, oh, yeah, well, if you think the grift and the fraud and all the BS in my state is terrible, bend over because I'm about to kick you in the drawers. Here you go.
Meet Ayan Abukar. In 2021, she won the Outstanding Refugee Entrepreneurship Award from the Minnesota Department of Human Services. And in just a few years, her nonprofits generated over $5.7 million in revenue. How amazing! Today, she's a convicted felon who helped steal millions meant to feed hungry children. And her story perfectly illustrates Minnesota's fraud epidemic. So sit back and enjoy the unbelievable story of Ayan Abukar. When COVID hit and government money started flowing from a fire hose, Ayan saw an opportunity. She signed up her nonprofit for Feeding Our Future, which we all now know for their $250 million fraud scheme. And from October 2020 to early 2022, she claimed that her sites in Bloomington, Minneapolis, Savage, St. Paul were feeding 5,000 or more kids daily. In reality, no sites actually existed, and the kids didn't exist either. Prosecutors say that she alone pocketed $5.7 million. Quite the entrepreneur, I would say. What did she do with the money? Well, she bought a 37-acre commercial property in Lakeville. She purchased a jet in Nairobi, Kenya, and she sent hundreds of thousands of dollars back overseas to who knows who. And to keep all this scam running smoothly, she gave $330,000 to a Feeding Our Future employee to make sure that her invoices sailed through.
Man, that's a Refugee of the Year award if I've ever heard one. But wait. I mean, there's a little bit more. Let's make sure we get this in.
But it gets worse. Her fraudulent company, DimeSpeak Enterprise, shared the same address as a childcare center run by her daughter, and one that recently had its license revoked for, you guessed it, fraud. In January 2025, Ayan Abukar stood in federal court and pled guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Sentencing is still pending, but thankfully she faces years in prison. But this is not just one bad apple. Many of the defendants in Feeding Our Future have connections to fraudulent autism centers, just another fraud thing in Minnesota. We have seen massive fraud across our state in childcare assistance, food for children, autism centers, and homelessness programs even. It's systemic, and frankly, it's embarrassing.
Embarrassing because it all started with the open border. You can't have an emergency to hurry. We've got to spend lots of money. I mean, we'll worry about how it gets, counted and how it gets followed later. But we need to get it out to people. It's an emergency. Really? Huh. Well, the good news is that this woman doesn't live in Illinois, because if she did, J.B. Pritzker would probably bounce her. Right? Free her like all of the criminal, illegal gangbangers and such that he's letting roam the streets. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, the Seditious Six, at least one of them sounding a little scared. Next. I'm going to go to the bathroom unless you have to. Do you have to go?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, you do, don't you?
No, I don't.
You always have to go to the bathroom.
I don't.
Why don't you start talking about what we're going to be doing later today with Dr. D?
Okay. So our genetic tests are back in, and we're going to do a live stream probably around 5:30 tonight. going through what our testing said, what our biomarkers have said, that we need to look at. I was told that I have not seen the charts yet. He's going to email them to us later. I was told I don't have the Alzheimer's markers, which is I don't know, pretty big win. But he's going to tell us what our body says, what the testing says, and what it can do, what we can be proactive about to make life a little more enjoyable. Helps you from worrying about what's going to happen in the future, and how we can stay healthier to prolong the aging process, so to speak. Like I don't want to die, so like anything I can do that is going to give me the ability to prolong that, I'm all for. And he also, it's also the weight loss stuff that I've done in the past with Dr. Dubiak, to the IVs, to the supplements, to just keeping yourself overall in a good, healthy state of mind. 412-227-9255, 412-227-9255, bodybyAIM360.com, bodybyAIM360.com. We're going to do it on my Facebook. But yeah, what we can do to, so I'm talking, they can't hear me.
Sorry.
So 5:30, my Facebook page, we're going to talk to Dr. Dubiak to see what we need to do and what road bumps may be down the road for either one of us. 412-227-9255, bodybyAIM360.com.
Sorry, I wasn't thinking that they wouldn't be able to hear you. I beg your pardon.
Well, you turned the sound off.
Yes, I wasn't thinking about that, which is what I just said. That deserves 3,000 right there, right? Getting nagged by him. That's 190 people can...
Nagged? Who got nagged?
190 people can clearly click the button.
It was me pointing out something. That's it. That's not nagging. I mean, nagging is pointing out there's not enough rumbles.
Oh, wow. You're saying...
Someone said they give thumbs down because Rumble was freezing. That's out of our control. So you better turn that down thumb to an up thumb.
That's kind of a dippy reason. Like, I mean, it's yours. You're free to do what you want. But I would think that you don't agree with me, or you don't like what I'm saying, which is also your prerogative.
Yeah. I don't like what she says all the time either. It went and gone.
Oh, Jesus. Hasn't really moved the needle.
Radiator.
Did you tell him that Dr. Dubiak now the blood work is $79?
No.
412-227-9255, 412-227-9255. Hey, quickly, Wendy loves gold. Look, I knew nothing about gold. I'm still not some, scholar on gold. I have very little rudimentary knowledge. But I do know that if Joe and I play our cards right and can swirl away a few bucks, the one thing we like to do is be able to call our contact at wendylovesgold.com, Texas Bullion Exchange, and say, hey, what do you have that's new, that's cool, that I could buy, that we can use to invest in the future, blah, blah, blah. And I like the physical precious metals. So, and this isn't something that you necessarily want to keep at home. And so I have a deposit box for it, which is great. But if you have gold and silver, or you're interested in it, I trust this company. This is the company that I've chosen to be our exclusive precious metals company. And the reason why I did is because they guarantee you, if you buy gold or silver from them, you're not going to sell it back at a discount. At a loss. You're not going to sell it back and lose money. So say you buy $700 worth of gold. If you need to sell your gold down the road, you're not going to get less than that dollar amount back. It's kind of nice. It's kind of and watching the value of silver explode.
It's up $26 an ounce since literally we're at 363 days or 62 days, up 300 or up $26 an ounce. That's nuts.
And when we got it, it was like 35.
33. It's now 59.
That's crazy. That's
Texas bullion.
WendyLovesGold.com, 855-927-5557. It's their number. That's their number. So that's our number with them, 855-927-5557. So call that. They'll be so excited to take your call. You'll love them.
Not gonna go with that. Way to go. Put it in my head.
Listen to me drinking water.
That's how I drink beer.
It's so gross.
What? What's
You're like, it's like you're swallowing a goldfish to win a prize.
I've never swallowed a goldfish.
Well, that's how you would do it. Just
I'll
saying.
have to take your word for it. Apparently, you've done it.
I haven't, but I've watched.
You eat sushi. That's close enough.
Oh, gosh. Sushi's delicious. Come on, rumble if you love sushi.
Oh, here comes the thumbs down. I got to change mine now.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, I honestly believe that the seditious six, the six congressmen and women, former military, who put out that video encouraging military folks to question and possibly even refuse to obey a direct order from anybody above them or their commander-in-chief, the president of the United States. I think a lot of them are kind of nervous right now. And I think they're nervous just basically listening to this gal, Maggie Goodlander. She's the Democrat rep, I believe, from New Hampshire. She's married to Jake Sullivan, Jake the Snake Sullivan, who was Joe Biden's national security advisor. Wasn't he that? Right? And dark and dirty as can be, goes back to Obama. And so somehow she is a state representative, and she's going to say something basically about these narco boats. Now, the thing that's interesting about this whole conversation and what President Trump forces people to do, forces his detractors to do, is because they dislike him, they think, so much. They're forced to choose all of the wrong champions and heroes. They're forced to support criminal illegal aliens and Maryland man kill Mara Brego Garcia, MS-13, right? They're forced to go into the same, like, go to bed with, if you will, narco terrorists, lie down with these people, make them their soulmates. Why on earth would you be forced to do that? Because President Trump is doing something that is effective. And if you judge the Harvard-Harris CAPS poll released today, 5% uptick in his approval since last month. Apparently people like it. They like it. Maggie, I want you to hear what this woman said. Maggie Goodlander said, one of the seditious six. Now, she's going to tell you, I can't imagine how blowing up narco terrorists, trying to bring drugs into our country, you know, is going to help at all with the overdose epidemic. And I'm like, wait a minute. He's stopping the drugs from getting to the shore. Do you see that there's a dot there, that he's cutting off the connection? Listen.
The President and the Secretary of Defense have a lot of questions to answer about the legal basis and the strategic value of all the strikes that we have seen go down. And there are 22 that we know about. The President has serious questions to answer about how these strikes are actually making the American people safer. You know, I am deeply committed to cracking down on the transnational cartels that are fueling American overdose deaths. But it is not yet clear how these strikes are helping to advance that important objective.
Do you guys follow that? I'm against the poisoning of American people, but I don't see how blowing up the drug boats that are bringing over millions of dollars, billions of dollars worth of cocaine and fentanyl and all of the precursors, etc. I don't understand. I can't see how that's doing anything. Really? I wonder if Maggie or any of the seditious six cried tears of outrage when Barack Obama ordered drone strikes that killed terrorists, but also many civilians, including children, because we remember that. These drone strikes taking out, they look like stranded sailors. They're like fishermen lost at sea. Yeah, except they've got a, triple motor. They're cruising along in these fast boats. And what's the curious stuff on board, folks? So no, none of the seditious six that we could find had any kind of outrage whatsoever during Barack Obama's presidency. Senators Mark Kelly, Alyssa Slotkin, along with Jason Crow, Chris DeLuzio, Maggie Goodlander, we just heard from, and Chrissy Houlihan, all reps, publicly expressed outrage. Did they know over Barack Obama's drone strikes during his presidency, despite knowing that those operations killed an estimated 384 to 807 civilians, including children, across Pakistan, Yemen, and where else? Ooh, Somalia. Mark Kelly at the time was a private citizen and an astronaut, right? Made no recorded statements criticizing the strikes, but he's totally against Donald Trump taking out narco-terrorists. Alyssa Slotkin was working in the Obama State Department on counterterrorism policy, and she helped shape aspects of the very drone program that's being used today. Never voiced any concern, any public dissent about Barack Obama blasting kids into smithereens. Jason Crow was serving as an Army Ranger in Afghanistan during Obama's era, and he later criticized Trump-era drones, but not Obama's, right? DeLuzio, same story. He was a Navy JAG officer at the time, no public commentary. Maggie Goodlander, who sounds like she's like 14, was a Yale law student and junior Senate staffer, was a Navy reservist. She had no involvement. She's got involvement now. And Chrissy Houlihan, who's the Democrat from Pennsylvania, she was in the private sector as an Air Force veteran. She issued no public criticism. But these drone strikes on these narco-terrorists, this is beyond the pale, has to stop. I want you to hear Johnny Olszewski. He is a Democrat in the House of Representatives, and he's on with CNN. And the host is asking him if Democrats have basically painted themselves into a corner by choosing to defend the narco-terrorists over the strikes meant to eliminate them and the threat of their drugs on our soil.
But are Democrats backed into a corner of basically saying we need to protect the lives of drug runners?
I don't think we should support and condone what these individuals are doing. Clearly, the video is people running drugs in this country. And my heart goes out to anyone who's been impacted by drug use.
Well, thank you, Johnny. I appreciate you giving us the Democrat truth there. Clearly, it's drugs on board the boats. They're not saying, well, we think, so just go ahead and kill. That's what the Democrats want you to think. Meantime, while the seditious six are chewing their fingernails over what's going to happen to them, if anything, if Pam Bondi, I don't know if she's going to still be around for long based on what Trump put out yesterday. Let's go, Pam. You're not doing your job. He's not happy with her, right? Tom Homan, border czar, drops this number. Again, we talked about it briefly yesterday. But this is the passion with which this administration feels the way you and I do about finding some of the freaking missing children that the Biden administration just lost.
I look at the numbers every day. On Friday, I looked at the numbers. There's over 62,000 children found by the Trump administration. Children that weren't even being looked for in the Biden administration. President Trump saved over 62,000 children's lives. Some of these children were in sex trafficking, we found them. Some were in forced labor. Some were being mistreated. I can't even discuss some of the mistreatment we found out about. President Trump, again, proves why he's the greatest president in my lifetime. Over 62,000 children rescued by President Trump. Again, children that were ignored and weren't being looked for under President Biden.
62,000 found, 390,000 missing to go. Think about that number. Meantime, back in the nation's capital, is anybody even remotely scrutinizing Ilhan Omar's own grifting off of what we've seen in Minnesota? Well, Rob Finnerty over at Newsmax decided to do a little sniffing around her congressional disclosures. And I think he does a great job of, I don't know, hitting the target here. Listen.
So we'll ask again, where did Ilhan Omar get all that darn money from? Let's go through it. When she first ran for Congress in 2018, she was married to a Somalian man named Ahmed Nurshad Elmi, and she had a net worth of approximately $65,000. Not a ton of money, but $65,000. By 2020, a whole 2 years later, Ilhan had already divorced and remarried another Somalian man by the name of Ahmed Aladizian Herzi, and her net worth was still right around $65,000. Yet just 4 years later, she was divorced and remarried again for a third or perhaps a fourth time. We don't know for sure because Ilhan Omar likely married her brother at one point to get him into this country illegally when she came here from Somalia, which, by the way, is a federal crime, and she's serving in Congress. And nobody talks about this. So by 2024, Ilhan's married to a new person, a white guy named Tim. There's Tim Minette. And Tim is not a rich man, but now he is. Tim's rich now because somehow over the course of the last 3 years, Ilhan Omar's net worth has skyrocketed to over $30 million and counting, meaning she went from having right around $65,000 to $30 million in 3 years. Think about that. Powerball drawing is tonight. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Ilhan Omar did not win the lottery. Bernie Madoff was cheating, and he still wasn't doing that well. That is a 46,000% increase in less than 3 years. Now, how do you suppose that happened? Do you really expect us all to believe that she just played the stock market like she's got a great investor and they just got kind of lucky over the course of the Biden presidency? And why are we the only ones asking these questions tonight? So once again, where did Ilhan Omar get all that money, and why is she trying to make Americans feel bad for Somalian criminals?
This is part of the reason why Donald Trump is pissed at Pam Bondi. Where are the results? Where's the legal action? Where's the takedown? They came after me, he must be thinking, with knives out before I even won office. They were spying and snooping and wiretapping, and when they couldn't find any juice on me, they made it up. They made it up. They merchandised it. They wrap-up smeared me. They impeached me twice. They indicted me 5 times. They slapped me with 91 criminal charges, and I wasn't even in office at the time. These people are. Why? Rob, you're not the only one. I'm right there with you, brother. Where did she get all that money? And why doesn't anybody in Congress ask? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, trash apparently in one of America's largest cities is so bad, a man literally quit his job so he could pick it up instead of the people getting paid to pick it up. Where on earth could that happen? California, maybe? Oh, let's go there next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. It's preposterous. I agree, Rob, 100%. All right, let's talk about lean. Take lean. TakeLean.com. Use my name to get 20% off. This isn't some fly-by-night formula for weight loss. This is Brickhouse Nutrition. And it's these folks. These are the people behind lean. Now, this is one of their biggest things. The Field of Greens is a huge seller for Brickhouse Nutrition. But their most popular product, the one that I think they're most excited about, is the one that offers parallel weight loss, slower speed than any of those weight loss shots. Slower speed, which is really exciting for your body, right? So if you've watched anybody take any of the semaglutides or any of these shots, you watch dramatic weight loss. I'm sure of it. And you look at them and you're like, weird. But you know what? This doesn't rebound really well. This whole area doesn't really. There's a lot to be said for that slow and steady and predictable weight loss. That is Lean by the makers of Field of Greens. So I want you to go to takelean.com, promo code Wendy, 20% off. Its studied ingredients target weight loss in 3 powerful ways: by maintaining healthy blood sugar. That's important because you can get that weird feeling. It's terrible. By helping to control your cravings, your appetite, huge. And by converting fat into energy. Burning fat helps keep the weight off. And this is how you get away from weight cycling, where you put on 20 pounds, you take off 20 pounds, you put on 40 pounds, you take off 30 pounds, going back and forth. Lean, it's a dietary supplement. It's their hot seller, but it works. And it works slowly but predictably over time. I think it's a pretty good deal. TakeLean.com. What's going on, everybody?
Someone asked about Chuck juice. I still drink it every day.
They weren't getting the value. They weren't getting enough people interested in it, which is fine. I mean, I wish they did, but that's our shtick. I mean, we're not going to just lie and start a different thing and say we like it just as much. It's like we like what we like. And he has a supply of it, and I suspect you'll continue drinking it until you run out.
Correct.
And then we'll figure something out. Right?
Yeah.
I've loved many of our sponsors. I loved Cozy Earth. I love Cozy Earth. I went out and I bought. I'm like, that's that you love your sponsors when you, without asking for freebies, will go out and buy their products for people you love. Like I bought a set of sheets for Brock for his birthday or Christmas. And it's sort of a dippy gift until you wash them and put them on your bed and say,
you put those
how
on warm.
You doing?
Yeah.
Take a REM sleep and nighty night. Lights out. Put on a weighted blanket.
I didn't even need a weighted blanket. Just to cover the top sheet in the summertime.
It's like butter. It's like butter. So nice. This is such a gross story. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. Usually things that are expensive, services that cost you money, a lot of money, they have to be pretty extraordinary, right? I mean, it has to be when you're going to pay a lot of money for something to be done on your behalf, some benefit, right? You want to feel like you're getting value. When was the last time you felt like you got value out of the taxes that you spend? For instance, in Pennsylvania, where I live, that land before time, we have exorbitant taxes. And yet there's nobody picking up garbage. The sides of the highways are embarrassing from about June until March. And then there's a thaw after a snow, which at least hides all the filth and all of the carcasses of the dead deer, right? And then finally, when the thaw happens, then crews come out. And it's usually volunteers with the 4-H club or your Boy Scouts. What am I paying for? What exactly are you doing? Of course, in Pennsylvania, we read you the story about the 600% increase in sewage bills. And it's not necessarily in the sewage bill, the processing isn't changing. It's not becoming more state of the art. It's just a new way to charge people a hell of a lot more money for every gallon of water that their faucet uses, not just the stuff that gets flushed or is used in the kitchen sink or in the shower. Well, wait a minute. What's that? What are you getting for that? Well, what are you getting in California? Trash apparently is so bad in some parts of California. An unemployed man now covers for the government. This is from the Daily Caller. I had to read you this. This is Los Angeles, right? I'm sitting there thinking about my sister who works in Southern California, not far from Los Angeles International Airport, which, by the way, is a who's who tour miles long of homeless people. They have all of the campers lined up along the highway or along the road there by a monster water treatment plant by LAX, right? Why are you paying exorbitant taxes if nobody is coming and cleaning up your trash? Well, apparently the problem is so severe now that locals are relying on a rando resident whose name is Juan Nola, who literally quit his full-time job so he could pick up the city's slack. Garbage is a major issue, as is homelessness, and other factors contribute to the growing trash epidemic. And this guy, Nala, who began posting about his volunteer trash cleanup efforts, has now grown his social media following to more than 56,000. See, here's the funny thing that the Democrats, and I'm going to say Republicans they're corrupt as nuts too, right? But see, the thing that I don't understand about Democrats, if you do one thing, well, you can get a lot of people to look the other way, right? We can look the other way on the ridiculous rationing of water in California, even though you've got the runoff from the Sierra Nevada, you've got Canada coming down into you, you've got all sorts of great water, not going to have any water, not allowed to have water. People would deal with the inconvenience of water if you just picked up the damn trash. But they don't even care to do that. It's like nobody is doing their job. And so you've got a guy who just started picking up garbage in his own neighborhood, who now is like this social media star because people are starved for their garbage to get picked up. It's crazy. So now he's got a social media following of more than 56,000 followers. He documents his trash collected across the city, as well as others who have joined him to clean up their neighborhoods. You know who started that way? Scott Pressler. Do you remember that name? Scott Pressler, the fabulous gentleman who's completely flipped the voter registration numbers in Pennsylvania. So it's an advantage now, Republicans over Democrats. That's never happened, right? He started by picking up trash, by going to communities and saying, look, it doesn't take a whole lot of effort to care about where you live, to care about what you're paying for, to care about the optics and the story that you're telling of your community. And see, they're going to have the Olympics. They're going to have the World Cup. They're going to have God knows what else going on in LA. There'll be this hurried frenzy. Clean it all up for the cameras. Clean it all up for the world leaders. Clean it all up so that whomever is broadcasting, so it looks good. But when you have 9,800 homeless encampments just in LA County, how are you going to do that in time? And doesn't everybody see and get so turned off by the lack of service rendered? Of course. Of course, you're not doing anything special with my water. Why am I paying 600% more? Because that's the way it goes, and we're used to you not pushing back. Hey, California, maybe it's time to wake up. Hour 3, up next, all the news that is fit to ignore. I got a big one, too, for you next.
Well, California is prepared. Remember, they did it when G came.
Mm-hmm.
They cleaned it up real fast. So maybe they have a double secret probation way of doing that.
Don't tell me that you're worried about home stabilization, right? Don't tell us that you care about the homeless when you've spent $26 billion not housing anybody. Where'd the effing money go? Their 911 program, $450 million? Nickel and dimed, more than nickel and dimed. I'm sure it was assessed on everybody's monthly phone bill or wireless bill or whatever the hell they were doing in California. And they still don't have a 911 system. Like, what? Doesn't change until enough of you rise up.
I have a question. Out there, so if you think PM Bondi will get axed, I don't know if she will. Isn't it interesting that just yesterday, Alina Habba stepped away and said,
peace out. Peace out. I'm not going to get involved in slowing down the process for this president because you're butthurt over the legality of my appointment, right?
Yeah.
So she's like, F it. Peace out. I'll come back. Bondi gives her some assistant, some liaison or what have you. So she's getting paid in some capacity. But that would be interesting. You could see him sacking her and putting in Alina.
I'm just throwing it out there. Just seeing that text makes me think he's not, like I said, he's not happy. I can see why. She's fumbled quite a bit, and I think a lot of us, and even people who aren't me that watches the news constantly, Kate even noticed, man, that lady, I don't like the way she talks. That lady's always on Fox. Always. And it's just like, what are you doing other than doing hits on Fox? And I know I harped on that a long time, but it's just, I want to see things getting done. Period.
Well, you're almost 1 year in.
Yeah.
So how is it possible Letitia James gets bounced, or James Comey, or any of these guys? Like, there has to be somebody who's willing to drop the hammer.
What's that guy from Article 3, Mike Davis? I was thinking Eric Schmidt when you said it too. I really like
he's
him.
the one who took on Louisiana, Missouri v. Biden. I think
And
it
we
was
always
Louisiana
talked
v. Biden.
about Ken Paxton too. I'd like to see Ken Paxton get a chance, although he's running for senator, but give Wesley a chance to take that seat and give Paxton the
Wesley
AG.
Hunt?
He'll go after him.
All right, who have I forgotten here? Disinfectwithsniper.com. Disinfect is, it's sort of a grab bag when you go to Disinfect with Sniper. I'm going to go on it while we're here together, okay? And let's see where it goes. So here's what it's going to show you. Hospital-grade disinfectant talks about what's going on with Sniper, now available for your home. It's a game changer for your health. It kills tough pathogens, including canine parvovirus, MRSA, and the viruses that cause flu and COVID-19. You've got that. Then it's got Harmony Organic Insect Control. You can get that. Knockout Odor with Knockout, a multi-purpose cleaner and odor eliminator. And what else? I'm going to see where, you know what? Shop all products at the top. Now you're talking. Now you have, here you are. Let's see. Hunt Chef Seasoning. It's another thing that we're talking about. Hunt Chef. Eat what you kill.
Can I give them the number?
Yeah.
That you guys bought more Hunt Chef in the first month than he sold in the store for the entire year.
So we were talking about spices. I'm like, I have the same giant like Lowry's spices, which are great. Spices I've had that you get at Costco or Sam's Club, right? I have a cupboard where they all fit. I've probably had the same spices for 15 years, which is kind of gross. So I was like, I need some new flavors in my life. Bing, 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 bing. Hunt Chef. So I think each one is $9.99. I just used this on chicken the other night.
How was it?
It's delicious. It's salty without being too salty, and the flavors are delicious. And there's 12 different kinds. This is one for fish straight out of the bay. This is a duck and crab fish seasoning. right? So there's beef, there's pork, there's poultry, or there's
Big sexy
poultry, there's
rub.
all this stuff. Bingo. Disinfectwithsniper.com. Then there's the grass seed, which I use. Then there's I haven't used Mouse Magic, but I have used Captain Jack's Dead Weed Brew. Not the time of year, but you might want to get it. Spray whatever is invasive in your yard. It kills it. Gone. Nighty night. No more strawberry coming back in your grass, right? No more ivy leaping over or mint. If you ever have those, oh my God, you'll never get rid of them. Unless you use this. Disinfect with Sniper. And then the deer stopper. Just go to other products. You'll have to go to other products to drop it down.
Yeah.
Shop all, yeah. What else? Oh, I use all of it. I even have their spray bottles. Yeah, the only thing is Mouse Magic.
I've used it. I have them in my house.
You have mice?
Yeah, well, till they started rehabbing the house next to me.
Oh, it is amazing. They flushed them out.
Yeah. I have a cat, though, too, so.
Does Kit Kat do a good job with mouse remediation?
Yes. He does not massacre them.
And does he leave them at the front step for you?
No.
Where does he put them?
He usually, wherever he kills it. And then he sits by because he knows he gets a treat.
That's a great gig.
He's kind of liberal.
Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't really do anything, but expects free food. And
wow.
housing.
That was dirty.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family.
We're going to win so much. We're going to win at every level. We're going to win economically. We're going to win with the economy. We're going to win with military. We're going to win with health care and for our veterans. We're going to win with every single facet. We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live and on the clock. I'm delighted to share my common sense conservative values with you. It just makes sense. It so is not complicated, right? You know, what's not complicated is this whole idea that the news should give you information, a reasonable smattering of important stories of the day. And that there should not be political operatives masquerading as news professionals who decide stories to cover ad nauseum and then those to completely give crickets to. But that is what has been going on for a long time. And it probably was going on when I was in television news all the way up through about 2015. But we see it so clearly now. And thanks to organizations like Newsbusters, the Media Research Center, which I absolutely love, they sit down and they go over all of the big 3 networks, right? And they pay attention to a window of time. And they say, all right, we're going to monitor, we're going to clock at the exact time how long these networks spend discussing pivotal information. What do you guys think has been pretty pivotal information of the last week, week and a half? It would be all about Somalia. It would be all about Minnesota. It would be all about the COVID theft. It would be all about the billions of dollars in grifting, about the fake social services, the fake home care visits, the fake autism centers, right? The fake meals for fake kids who fakely needed it during COVID. All of this stuff connected. The housing stabilization, where you've got to get help for people who are infused into our country under Joe Biden, right? All of the fraud, the waste and abuse, billions and billions and billions of dollars. You would think that would be, this is top of the line news. Yeah, no, not so much. Headline, newsbusters.org, network Somalia coverage update. ABC and NBC spend only 21% of time on Minnesota fraud. Well, let's see what that means. Is that a lot? Is that not enough? What is it? In an update to a study we first brought you Friday afternoon, ABC and NBC have only spent a combined 17 minutes and 16 seconds through yesterday morning on their flagship morning and evening newscasts and Sunday political talk shows, covering the latest out of the Somali community in Minneapolis. But only 21% of that time, about 3 minutes and 35 seconds, was spent on the rampant welfare fraud scheme, which was the entire impetus for the headlines, right? So you're going to tell us about fraud, waste, and abuse. You're just not going to tell us that it's a specific segment of the population that's really, really adept at doing this. Why ever would that be? 3 minutes and 35 seconds over 3 days? Are you kidding me? The rest of the time was apparently spent demonizing President Trump's comments, excoriating those who came here and broke the law. So all they will know, people who watched NBC and ABC, is not that a bunch of Somalians who should not be here stole billions of dollars, at least to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars from us in that one zip code. It said President Trump said that they are garbage. That's what matters. That is what you get in the news today, my friends. This new Media Research Center tally. Overall, ABC, CBS, and NBC have now spent 36 minutes and 41 seconds on the Twin Cities. So they've spoken about Minneapolis, St. Paul, but only 31% of that time, about 11 and a half minutes, explaining the years-long scheme that stole over, yes, $1 billion from taxpayers and led to dozens of convictions. This new Media Research Center tally marked an increase of just over 14 minutes from our first total, representing November 30th through December 5th. So this is a week of basically nonstop news. What time do you wake up and get news these days? 4? I don't know what time the news is. I haven't watched it since I got fired. 4 a.m. You can watch all day, all night. 14 minutes in a week on the 3 networks covering Somalians ripping off Americans and ripping you off blind. 14 minutes? Do you think they covered the refugee of the year, who herself has been convicted of what, $7 million of fraud? No, I'm sure not. Why would we want to tell that story? Instead, over at CNN, Jake Tapper isn't talking about Minneapolis. He's not talking about Somalians. He's not talking about fraud, waste, abuse, all of that. Nope. He's butthurt that Donald Trump is taking credit for solving 8 international crises in 8 months. It's something that he said to the UN, the president did. He said, look, this is what we've been able to do. You've seen this. Well, he's going to spend more time. Jake Tapper is about to spend more time telling you about how he's fact-checking President Trump and that Trump didn't do that much. It's not that big of a deal. He's not that successful. It's not really world peace. Some people are still firing at each other. I don't think that's really what happened, right? He's going to spend more time fact-checking President Trump about his peace deals than he is going to spend at all, ever, talking about Somalian grift. Let's listen in to how Jake wanted to spend last night's segment on CNN. He says, you know what? We're going to fact check just how much peace these warring countries are feeling. I mean, should the man who told us that the DC pipe bomber was white, should we really be believing Jake Tapper? Well, that's another discussion. Here's audio soundbite. Number 1, Jake is not pleased with President Trump, apparently.
These are the 8 wars that Trump claimed to have ended during his address to the United Nations this fall. Let's take a look at each one of them. Number 1, Cambodia and Thailand This was a 5-day armed conflict that ended with a ceasefire agreement in July. Today, Thailand launched airstrikes against Cambodia. Thailand's army says the strikes were in retaliation for an attack that killed the Thai soldier. Number 2, the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda. On Thursday, at the newly christened Donald J. Trump United States Institute of Peace, the president participated in a signing ceremony for a peace agreement with the leaders, the presidents of both countries. That war has continued, however, in part because Thursday's deal was never signed by the leading rebel coalition that's actually doing most of the fighting. And just today, a bomb explosion killed more than 30 people in eastern Congo.
So Jake last night, instead of talking about all the fraud, waste, and abuse that we know of just in Minneapolis, has decided to go back to a UN conversation that President Trump had in the fall and fact check what he said, because it's a slow news day. What is it? What are we doing here, Jake? Audio soundbite number 2. Listen to his choice of words. He calls them supposed wars. Interesting.
War number 3, Ethiopia and Egypt. This is not actually a war. It's a long-running diplomatic dispute about a major Ethiopian dam project on the Nile. War number 4, Serbia and Kosovo. This is another supposed war that didn't actually occur during Trump's presidency. Number 5, Israel and Hamas. The situation in Gaza right now is tenuous. Attacks there have continued since the October ceasefire deal.
Hey, Jake, what did Joe Biden do? He got a fist bump from Mohammed bin Salman. I know that, the crown prince. He got a freaking fist bump. He wandered away from the G20 summit to go talk to a guy who was what? Jumped out of a plane with a parachute and was landing on the ground, walked over to, right? Who needed the Easter bunny? Did he do any of this stuff, Jake? He spent 40% of his presidency asleep on the freaking beach. Jake, I never heard you say a word about what he was not accomplishing. But now you have to take umbrage with the delicate plans to stop people from hurting each other around the world. Finally, Jake seals it with this. A final peace plan between Armenia and Azerbaijan has yet to be basically a done deal, because they said Donald Trump really didn't do much to help us at all. Really, Jake? Let's listen.
War number 6, Israel and Iran. This, too, was a truly hot war. Both countries launching missiles against each other for 12 days this June. Number 7, India and Pakistan. This conflict heated up after a terrorist attack in April. It led to days of drone and missile strikes. The Indian government has denied that the U.S. played a role in negotiating the ceasefire. That's number 8, Armenia and Azerbaijan. It's a conflict that goes back decades. In August, the leaders of Armenia and Azerbaijan met at the White House with President Trump. They signed a declaration to seek peace, but importantly, a final peace agreement has yet to happen.
This is what Jake Tapper wanted you to know last night. These peace deals, which are really not in the news, save for the one that it looks like Zelensky is pooping all over. Says he doesn't want to give Russia land, right? Jake Tapper decides to bring all of this up, go back and spend the time seeing where all of the conflicts are now, rather than telling you that in Minnesota, taxpayers are being robbed blind by Somalians who Donald Trump calls garbage. And we agree. Okay, Jake, when we come back, I hope he feels better. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, you know, it is a climate emergency. Except when it isn't. Except when the paper gets retracted, but the media don't give you an update. It's so weird, isn't it? Why is that? Next.
I mean, I'm proud of Jake for getting through a segment without telling you to buy his book. I mean, that's...
Honestly, we had no idea until that debate. And then we really started cranking out this book.
Yeah, read my book.
Here it is. This is what it's called.
No, that is worth more than Jake Tapper.
100%. Duh. All right, who haven't I talked about? Golly, it's only 11. I know I did double up some. Healthy fat. Well, you know what? It turns out the key to losing weight and keeping it off isn't in counting carbs or fat or even in probiotic-rich foods. In fact, the end game to having a healthy weight is more energy and long, healthy life comes down to a specific switch that you can flip in your body to flush out unnecessary calories. Dr. Gundry calls it the caloric bypass. By activating the specific process in your body, he has seen thousands, and he's not exaggerating, literally thousands and thousands of people dramatically improve their health, even at age 50 and beyond. Brock, there's hope for you yet.
Wow.
Almost 50.
Well,
3 more days.
I might be almost 50. You're already beyond.
P.O. Box 86033, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 15221. If you know, you know. So that is what this is. That is what the healthy fat, that is what MCT wellness is. This powder, you drink it once, maybe twice a day, and you'll notice something very interesting. One, you don't have cravings. It's just the right amount of sweetness. So you're like, I'm satisfied. But then it makes you feel disinterested. I'm not hungry. I'm not thinking about food. Therefore, I'm not going to go grab a sleeve of Pringles, right? It's a dietary supplement. And so it absolutely crushes your cravings for about 5 hours. So you could use this as a meal supplement. And Dr. Gundry lost 70 pounds drinking this. I drink it every day. That's what's in here. It's delicious. And I will tell you, I don't start jonesing for dots, pretzels, until about 3:30. I drink it in the morning. I drink it throughout the show, and then it keeps me full for about another 3.5 hours. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. It works. 70 pounds. It's crazy. And he kept it off for 20 years. I'd much rather drink something, right, than I would take a shot or all of that jazz. But that's me. You do you. Let's see how our rumbling is.
Well, to keep you guys updated, if you've not purchased your AR magazine yet,
yes,
we have 104 left. That's it.
And so we started with 250. We're down to 100.
Started with 3 because we sold.
Yes, we sold 50 of the first iteration of the AR-15 30-round magazine.
Yes.
And
for the person that emailed you, if they're listening,
yeah.
I checked into it last night. I'm not sure it's going to work for your husband, but for no other reason, it gives you a reason to buy him a gun for Christmas. Or if it doesn't work, send it back and we'll refund your money.
The Second Amendment commemorative gifts, you will not see them, but you know what they look like. The first one had the Second Amendment written on them with our logo, and they fit nicely in. You can see the logo on one side, and then the second one is Clarence Thomas's North is Still North, which you know is our main. Do we know what the third one is?
We were talking about doing the
things in media that you learn, or I did back in the day in the 80s and 90s, etc. When you make a mistake, the best thing you got to do, the first thing you have to do something about it fast, right? So if there's a retraction, if there's something that needs to be said, if you need to make an oops, I goofed, that's not what happened, I'm sorry. And I think I had to do that once on television in my many years, where something happened and I had to come out the next day and be like, look, I have a major update for you. I know you paid attention to this, but blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they don't do that anymore. They just don't cover it. They pretend that it doesn't happen. So we're going to come out and we're going to scare the everlasting liver out of you. We're going to tell you, oh my gosh, your carbon footprint is so bad. Everybody's dying. Everybody's losing money. In fact, it's going to bankrupt everybody. The oceans are going to rise and it's just going to be calamitous. And then what's next? Locusts? Oh my God. Yeah. And when that study comes out as being bogus, it is the responsibility of the reporters who screamed, pants on fire. Change everything you're doing, right? To come out and be like, oh, yeah, about that. That study, that got retracted because the data was bad, like really bad. Well, that's not what your media do anymore. And this will fall neatly into the Newsbusters Media Research Center look on how many of the folks in the mainstream media outlets, ABC, CBS, NBC, have uttered a word about the Somalians involved with the Minnesota fraud. 6 news outlets failed to put editors' notes on stories promoting retracted eco-doom study. So the study was, I told you about this yesterday, right? It's ridiculous, or Friday. Totally ridiculous study. It came out with dubious data from something that sounded fancy, right? The Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact Research, a study published in April of last year, right? Came out in the left-wing journal Nature, and it scaremongered people based on supposed empirical findings from 1,600 regions over the past 40 years that the world economy is committed to an income reduction of 19% within the next 26 years, independent of future emission choices due to inevitable climate change. So all of a sudden, we're going to lose like $37 trillion. That's the number. They're like, you know what? We know what that means. It's $37 trillion. As a planet, we're going to lose $37 trillion in productivity or what have. Like, what a pie in the sky. Who the hell came up with that? Well, nobody reputable, because all of a sudden they're like, yeah, about that. We're going to pull that study because it's garbage, right? We're going to pull in the retraction notice published on December 3rd. The journal Nature noted that, quote, post-publication, the results were found to be sensitive to the removal of one country, Uzbekistan, where inaccuracies were noted in the underlying economic data for like years. And based on that, all of the data has been fudged, and so we have to pull the study. It's really bad. Well, it's probably a lot bigger than that. So let's go and find how many of these news outlets didn't even comment on it. Media Research Center Business tallied at least 6 major outlets that made a big stink about the study in 2024 that never put out editors' notes on writers' original stories, conceding that the whole thing has been debunked. Right? The Associated Press, their in-house climate doomer, Seth Borenstein, drummed up the sensationalism in his April 2024 headline. New study calculates climate change's economic bite will hit about $38 trillion a year by 2049. That's just dumb. Okay, that's just a dumb headline from a dumb, low IQ individual who clearly has no critical thought. That's why fighting climate change clearly passes economists' test of costs versus benefits. Didn't put up anything. His article still to this day has no notice on it that says, yeah, about this study. It's totally been pulled, debunked, yanked, discredited, what have you, zero. How about Forbes? Forbes magazine's then London-based reporter, Robert Hart, committed the same offense in April of 2024, propaganda on the study. He said all these, not a word from Forbes. Sorry about that, folks. But if you should stumble upon this study, you're going to think it's still true, even though it's totally ridiculous. This is what is so insidious about the power the media have used and abused for far too long. These people also believe that they are beyond above reproach, that there is no you questioning them. How dare you? Do you know who we are? This is 60 Minutes, said Leslie Stahl to President Trump when he correctly told her years ago, they spied on my campaign, Leslie. Mr. President, sir, we just can't go out and talk about things that we can't corroborate. Well, shoot. What do you do every Sunday? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, never, ever surrender. Have you heard about the Idaho saloon? The guy giving free beer for a month to anybody who helps deport an illegal alien? Ooh, a little pushback to that. Dude's not backing down. Love it. Next.
Can you imagine if you lived in Idaho? Every month you'd be turning somebody in.
Idaho, where all the people from Oregon want to go.
She'd be like, I turn
Idaho's-
someone in on the 1st, the next month. I got someone new to turn in for the
Right. Yeah, and then you give
And
one
then
to
month
each of
3,
your
you'd be like-
friends. Each of your friends, you're like, all right, Phil, Steve, Bob, you got your people? All right, cool. We're drinking free for a month, boys. Let's go. I'd be like, yeah.
then the next story would count. Bar that gave away free beer
Closes.
out of business.
Yeah, closes. The thing about these stories, and you don't want them to get so in the news that some wacko gets an idea to go take matters into their own hands. Like Charlie Kirk. What's this Tim Pool saying that Candace Owens killed him? What?
He's basically going off on her, saying she's a grifter.
Isn't it all so unbecoming? Like, I'm not interested. See, that's it. That's what's cool about, I think, what we do. Like, our space is totally different than all these. I'm not jockeying
Now-
for position with these people.
I
Like-
saw a thing with Tim Pool too that said he's thinking about stopping his show.
Is that right?
Mhm,
Why?
Because of the security reasons. He's like, it's not that my show isn't making money, it's my security costs so much. Now I have to wonder if it's worth it, for the safety purposes. Who knows?
What kind of security?
Well, apparently someone went by his house and shot, his compound or whatever. So
Well,
it's
no wonder Stephen Miller has moved his family to be guarded by.
I can't see Tim Pool, his thing is called Tim Cast, giving it up, but Rumble was happy about
Our time change.
Mhm. So
Moving
who
12
knows?
to 3 in just another couple weeks. January 5th.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of podcasters are starting to fight back and forth, and it's just, that's not interesting to me. Okay, you got beef.
Whatever. I think
know.
there's room for everybody to have an opinion and that you should have access to anyone that you want. And I don't feel like I'm competing with like Megyn Kelly. She's got a far bigger reach. She's got a way different setup than I do.
And it's the whole thing too of, if you don't like it, you don't like what he's saying or
Right.
she's saying or we're saying.
Yeah.
This is what I used to say in radio when people say, I don't like this, blah, blah, blah. The best thing you can do is turn it off.
We have 2.5 minutes to get 240 people, 20 people. Can you please do me a favor and hit the thumbs up bubble underneath the video box?
Hit them all.
Just
hit the thumb up,
just
hit the
go.
follow,
Just
hit the
go.
WBR Army.
Just be a part of this. We so appreciate it, but I do definitely want to hit that 3-5 as I told you guys how important it is. Thank you.
We have hit 76.2.
Oh.
Yeah. And our goal, if you're new, was 75 by the end of the year. So,
I'm trying to do the math and see if what we're doing is feasible. It's about 100 people a day.
yeah.
Is that about what we're getting?
Yeah.
Which is huge. 100 people a day are hitting the follow button, which is next to the thumbs up, thumbs down button. That's huge. So if you haven't done either yet, I would so appreciate it. We
Why?
need 190
If you have
in 2 minutes.
If you have the cojones to ask the president what's taking you so long, you don't have the cojones to ask them what's taking so long if you're here.
I don't know. I don't know what's happening and why you wouldn't want to vote with a thumbs up for me every day. Right? And then sometimes I step outside and I get a sunburn. Whew,
Is that what that is?
It was sunny. Let me tell you. But I feel much better now. Little natural sunlight on your skin. Give it a little brown.
Glow.
Little glow.
You're glowing.
Yes. I don't know if I ever glowed. Did I glow when I was
pregnant
pregnant?
women glow.
I don't know. I had an alien baby, as you said. That's the kind of commentary I get from my trusty friend.
Well, your belly was like a torpedo.
It was giant.
Yeah. Thank you.
It was uncomfortable.
And it jetted like straight out. Like, it wasn't like
Well, I think they were yin and yang, but they were
it
going
wasn't like
that
a
way.
round belly.
I think that way had more space than that way.
Yeah.
If you guys hit 3.5, I'll show it to you.
Oh.
140. You got to hit it.
I don't know, guys.
You've got to hit it. I think it's a great picture. I'm so attractive. It's a big.
That's a big.
That's a big man.
That's a huge big.
I was too. Come on, 3.7.
What'd
Come
you
on, we
weigh?
need
180 then?
No, 150, 160.
Fatty Bobblati. That's a huge. All those donut holes, 30 at a time.
I carried. A guy from Southern California who packs up his wife, his house, everything he has, moves out of LA and moves to Idaho for a new beginning. Only to find out that some of his neighbors are not too pleased with his conservative values. I say, suck it. And so does he. I love it. Breitbart.com. We're not backing down. That's the headline. Owner of a pro-ICE Idaho saloon is undeterred by violent threats. Now, can we just for a second speak about violent threats? Like, really? Didn't we all used to be able to have our own ideas and our own opinions? And if you own a store and you wanted to cater to a certain clientele, whatever, do what you want to do. I have the choice to shop with you or not. But now it's this weird homogenized one way is the only way. And if you're not that way, we're gunning for you, literally. It's scary. Here's your story. The Idaho saloon owner who promised free beer to citizens willing to help U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement identify and deport illegal aliens is now facing, of course, death threats, but he remains undeterred in his mission. Can you imagine being triggered enough to take it to that level, to leave a voicemail message on a store or a saloon, a restaurant's phone, their phone line, saying that you're going to kill them? I'm going to kill you. Because you are for the deportation of people who broke the law to come into our country and grift off of the kindness of our social services and our ignorance. Okay, just so we're all on the same page. Bar owner Mark Fitzgerald says at Old State Saloon, we aren't really strangers to speaking out boldly about conservative Christian values and truth and putting the truth out there. Remember, this is the guy who gave free beer to the fellow who blew in a state lawmaker. And it was a pretty big blow-in. Sorry, I was about to cough. Hold on one second. All right. The saloon's announcement about free beer ignited a firestorm online with people applauding and criticizing the move. Alert anybody who helps ICE identify and ultimately deport an illegal from Idaho gets free beer for 1 month at Old State Saloon. Interesting. So this guy, Mark Fitzpatrick, came up with the idea after 4 years of former President Joe Biden's open border policies that wreaked havoc on American communities. And now the saloon owner said he's being attacked for assisting ICE. Some people saying he should die. Look, I don't like quite a few people in this country. I have never said I think they should die. Now, if you're abusing children, I might be negotiated on that. But that's a very dangerous thing to throw around. You should die. Really? On Saturday, the saloon shared a post from somebody appearing to threaten the owner by showing a photo of Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk moments before he was assassinated. And the photo's caption says, "It should have been you." Wow. Another person allegedly threatened Fitzpatrick and his white culture. The saloon also posted audio of messages from people making violent comments. One person said, "Hey, you effing Nazi, go back to California, you effing California immigrant piece of poop. Idaho was a way better state before you ever effing came here." Very kind, loving, verbose. It's always intriguing. Despite the violent rhetoric being spewed at him and his business, Fitzpatrick said many people have shown support. He says, "I've had countless conversations with conservative Christians who came into Old State Saloon today. They were all extremely supportive and thankful for my public stance on immigration. Deport them all." Well, interesting. I want you to hear a little bit about this because this man is apparently no stranger to controversy. He stood up for same or for heterosexual relationships, let's just say, which sparked the ire of his Idaho church, which kicked him out. Okay, so this is how crazy apparently what I thought was a red state. Well, apparently not in his part. Here's owner Mark Fitzpatrick on the pushback heating up with now threats and retribution that he has gotten, naming Idaho politicians who are soft on deportations. Listen.
Every time we try to do something that's lawful and righteous, they get all crazy. You know, I did notice a huge difference between this crowd, though, and the last crowd. Last crowd was very, almost like demonic, the way they acted and reacted. This crowd is much more violent. There's a lot more threats.
Whoa.
There's a lot more suggestions that they want to burn down our building, and they're just outright saying that on social media and chat forums and everywhere else. And I did speak out about, local politicians. I named them by name that aren't doing enough for this topic of immigration in Idaho. And the very next day, would you believe it, I got notified from the Idaho Tax Commission that I'm being audited for sales and use tax for my businesses.
Of course you are. Are you
Yes.
kidding me?
Not kidding.
So when the media don't cover it, but a local bar owner does, and then the thing goes viral because somebody paid attention to what he said and blew in a state lawmaker whose family business was employing illegal aliens, right? And then that guy got free beer for a month. And that, of course, delights those of us who live in Realville, who know that 20 million people who should not be here are freaking here. It is not tenable. We are done paying for the bill. And now Mark Fitzpatrick says elected leaders must be getting paid. Really? Let's go.
We need to follow the money, so if these people that are representing us are not down with our efforts to deport them all, get them all out of our country, then there's got to be a reason why, and it usually involves money.
100%. And here is where I think Donald Trump's ire with Pam Bondi as the attorney general not moving fast enough. Where are the lawsuits? Where are the indictments? Where are the subpoenas? Where is the action? We're tired of talking about it. And conservative America appreciates somebody who's willing to step up in the limelight, grab the spotlight, and do something to put it on the map. Someone's getting rich, and it ain't the taxpayers. Deport them all, he says. Finally, he says these threats against me are heating up, and so we are ramping up security.
So we're trying to beef up security a little bit. All these things, they end up costing some money. So we've had some people support, which is really cool. And we've had some people donate their time. They're showing up. I got veterans showing up. At any given time at Old State Saloon, there's probably about 10 to 15 armed guys there.
Nice.
So it's probably one of the safest places in America, actually.
Absolutely. And that is what you get. Now, this same man, I found this story, got excommunicated from his church for defending Christianity. You can't make it up. Mark Fitzpatrick is no stranger to controversy after successfully fighting the leftist agenda machine when he hosted Heterosexual Awesomeness Month at his Idaho bar. Oh my goodness. However, his problem started months before he hosted the month-long event at his bar. Mark's church was apparently not too happy about what he was doing at his bar, and they canceled him over it. Oh, it's so lordly, isn't it? I recently had the opportunity, this author on Red State says, to speak with Fitzpatrick, and he shared his story with me. He's a recent conservative California transplant to Eagle, Idaho. He's a strong and passionate conservative and a Christian, very active in his church, and he helped establish the church when he and his wife moved their family to Eagle approximately 6 years ago from SoCal. Mark quickly saw success in private real estate and other business ventures. One of those ventures was his acquisition of an established bar in downtown Eagle, which is a small suburb located approximately 23 miles northwest of Boise. The bar, then called The Gathering Place, was built in 1908. And after talking with the owner, Mark purchased the bar and opened it in February of 23, renaming it the Old State Saloon. Originally intended to support his wedding venue with a liquor license, he quickly saw more potential in the bar and adapted it to serve as a hub where people could come and talk about politics, hot topic issues, current events, and more. And he began hosting a weekly event dubbed Braveritas, which is a combination of the word brave and veritas for truth in Latin. And now he has something called an Old State Saloon Cast, where people can show up and basically tell their truths about how they feel about this wacky political climate. So when he had something celebrating heterosexuality, right, his church went haywire, and they didn't just disinvite him. They literally kicked him out. He and his wife came in one Sunday to sit down in the pews, and all of a sudden it was knives out as the pastor decided to turn the tables on him and ran him out of the building. Now, for most of us, that would be hugely embarrassing, right? But for this gentleman, he's like, really? I don't think so. He represents in some way the local business owner, Donald Trump. No, we're not going to do that anymore. No, we're not going to pretend a boy can be a girl. No, we're not going to glorify all of the same sex nonsense that you want us to glorify in church. No, we're not going to play along. No, we're not going to avoid talking about illegal aliens. No, you cannot threaten me into silence. But yes, we can certainly give away free beer for a month for people who decide to do what needs to be done. Mark, I wish you Godspeed and pray upon you safety. And what a shame that we would have to say that in the year 2025 in the United States of America. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, remember how we started the program talking about Donald Trump's climb 5 points in his approval rating since just last month? Well, apparently that's not the story that the New York Times is running with. Gotta love fake news. I got it for you next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
Marjorie's back on CNN.
She's really retiring fast.
Yeah. I
Gotta
feel
wonder.
very sorry for President Trump. I genuinely do. It has to be hard place for someone that is constantly so hateful and puts so much vitriol, name calling, and really tells lies about people in order to try to get his way.
I never had many vibes on her. Like I said, when we talked about her, I was pleased when she was with Louis Gohmert and Matt Gaetz, and they would tour the DC Gitmo, right? And they were obviously lobbying to see the conditions of the January 6th defendants. Remember how they had to fight to get into that place? Remember all that? I do.
Well, Trump responded.
Oh, go.
Marjorie Taylor Greene was loyal until he stopped answering her constant phone calls. You can't call me 3 times a day. It's just not appropriate. Let's see.
Right? Isn't it so hilarious, too, that the man who wants to clean up the immigration issue is the guy who's married to an immigrant? I just think it's so interesting. He's a hater. He doesn't like people from other places. Oh, except he married a couple of them. He apparently likes them very much. What was Ivana? What was she? Was they Czechoslovakian? What nationality? Ivana Trump. Where are they from? Slovakia. Wow, it's slow. Let's see. Czechoslovakia. Czech Republic, yes. And then where is Melania from? Melania, is she Romanian? Melania is from where? No, not Romania. Where is she from? You guys are screaming it at me right now. Melania Trump was born in Slovenia, then part of Yugoslavia. She's only 2 weeks younger than I am. 3 weeks younger than I am. She became a U.S. citizen in 2008 after marrying Donald Trump in 2005. She is the second foreign-born in that role, meaning First Lady, after Louisa Adams. That's interesting. See what you get? You get education and trivia.
Yeah. That trivia might win you a beer. Did we hit 3-5? See alien babies? No.
Wow. 40 people to go.
You don't have
Just
time.
to hit
50
that.
seconds.
I know. That's terrible.
Because you wanted to show it.
No, not really. It's scary. No, it's not scary. It's
No.
Let's just say it's a little obscene.
Weird.
Obscene.
Weird.
Just
like one of your kids could have stood under your belly and not get hit by rain.
Yeah,
It
right.
just
There's a
jetted
picture
out.
of Ryan doing that.
Oh, is it you?
Yeah. Let's see. Ooh, people are buying the magazines.
Oh, good.
Let's see.
Mugs will be out in January.
Years. I got to go back to 2008. Shucks. Storylines here today on the Wendy Bell radio program. What have we discussed? Well, we started talking about President Trump's 5-point uptick from last month in his approval ratings, which is pretty ridiculous. It's never happened before. He's never had a month-to-month 5-point approval gain. Ever. This is the Harvard-Harris poll. Right? And so what is the media doing? Not covering it at all. What did the media do with the Minnesota fraud stuff from the Somalians? Well, they covered it. They covered the problem, but they didn't cover the Somalians. They didn't cover that people welcomed in under Joe Biden have been ripping us off blind. Curious. Right? And so what is the New York Times running with today? This is what they're saying. Trump's approval ratings have declined. So has his vigor. This is the story. Okay? You ready? This guy is named Frank Bruni. He's a contributing opinion writer who was on the staff of the Times for more than 25 years. So you know what you're getting. Just how run down must a raging narcissist be to snooze through tributes to his own greatness? That's the opening line. Rundown must a raging narcissist be to snooze through tributes to his own greatness. Well, at a cabinet meeting last Tuesday, President Trump didn't merely close his eyes, Brock, and achieve a droopy stillness universally recognized as a vertical nap. He also did so during a gathering convened at least in part so he could bathe in his acolytes' flattery. What? They batted their eyes around him. His eyelids fluttered shut. He must want to think twice. Or he might want to think twice about letting the television cameras in next time around. And the rest of us might want to brace ourselves for some presidential deja vu. He's starting to give President Joe Biden vibes. Oh!
Now there's vibes. They must
Oh!
have read Jake Tapper's book.
Oh my goodness. Did you get my book? Did you buy my book? Yeah. We didn't know anything about Joe Biden and his mental decline until, we were surprised just like you were when we watched that debate. And we were like, holy moly, we better start interviewing people about that. And here we go. It's a New York Times bestseller for you, $29.99. So now this guy from the New York Times is telling us, yes, Joe Biden was a zero. He was asleep at the wheel. Really? And he goes on. He says, I'm in no way suggesting any equivalence or near equivalence in their characters. Biden meant well. Dude, Biden.
He called us garbage.
Biden threatened us. It's going to be a winter of darkness and death, while his crime family syndicate was counting at least $30 million in foreign donations from other places like Azerbaijan, like Uzbekistan and Russia and Ukraine and China, right? And they were also lavished by a beautiful diamond and a lovely car. But you're right. Biden meant well regarding governing as serious business. He radiated decency. He radiated incompetency. He radiated inability. He radiated mental collapse.
He radiated right into the bushes.
Trump means to be either feared or worshipped. Regards governing as show business and revels in cruelty and mockery, which are flexes of his power. Now, honest to God, why would anybody order a subscription to the New York Times? That's literally what you get. That is your big opinion piece. That Trump is an overarching, a raging narcissist. But there are echoes of what bedeviled Biden and what's bedeviling Trump. And I'm talking about more than Trump's arguably diminished energy and the inarguably intensifying public attention to it. I'm also talking about the economy, blah, blah, blah. And so he's going to go on and talk about how, for like 2 pages, how he's worried about Trump's abilities. He's seeing him slow down. He's concerned about the narcissist president. Like with media like this, with quote unquote legacy. I mean, if that's all you're reading, is your local hack paper wherever you live and the New York Times, do you have any clue in the world what's going on in Minnesota? Do you have any clue in the world that they can't pick up the trash in California? Do you have a clue in the world that in Vermont, they love the Somalian flag? Oh boy, as much as the good old stars and stripes. No, you don't. Which is why a lot of people stay on their same hamster wheel day after day. You, however, are enlightened. Thanks for being a part of the Wendy Bell radio program. Hope you come back tomorrow, 21 hours away. I'm going to be ready to go, locked and loaded. Join us. Have a great day. Peace.